All right, welcome everyone. It is the third qualifier for the Rise of the Mortarchs Season 2, and we have our first semi-final match all ready to go, as we do have Ice Power Total War against Ben the Barman on the top side of the semi-final bracket. On the bottom side of the bracket, we do have one more match currently in progress before we're waiting, but we'll take a little look at the bracket, as it's going to be J Phoenix against one other contender. It is either going to be Talcor, or let's take a little look at who they'll be up against. It's either Talcor or Sergio. It will be whoever plays J Phoenix in the second semifinal. So now we'll switch on over to the between screens here. So, yes, we are live, and for the first matchup, it is going to be Skaven versus Wood Elves. Ice Power had first picks, and he banned Coasts and Counts. Generally pretty decent matchups against Skaven there for either side. Welcome David Versasi to the stream as we do get ready to jump on into this first match. Both contestants are ready to go, so as soon as I am set, we'll be able to hop on into this first matchup. And yes, this is definitely a matchup we saw quite a bit in our last qualifier. I think both of our two semifinals started with this exact same matchup. So I just tell everyone to ready up, and we will hop on in to this first one. All right, looks like everything is going all right. All right, and now we will switch on over to our screen here as we're loading in to Schwarzhofen. All right, so for the armies, remember to switch over my controls here. Almost had everything ready. But anyways, for the Skaven, going to be led by Ice Power, we have a Plague Priest going to be bringing Pestilent Breath. We have Blessed with Filth, giving Poison in an AoE, and as well as we have Vermintide for some Clan Rat summons, and Pestilent Birth for a bit of Plague Monk summons. A bit of summons on the field. We do see two Poison Wind Mortars, very good units here. Having two of them makes it very hard to snipe them both out, and they can get their value very, very quickly, so even when you are committed to sniping out one of them, it can still very easily get its cost. We also have the Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep, the Rat Ogre ROR. They do have Berserk, much like the Marauder Berserkers of Norska. And we do have some regular Rat Ogres on top of that. For the rest of the forces, we do have the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers here in the middle of things with their fire damage. So that's going to be very good against some of the tree units again of the Wood Elves. We do have some Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats mixed in the mix here as well. And we do have Throt the Unclean going to be leading the forces, as he is going to take a quick little look at what he's got for us. He is going to be bringing the Master Controller, giving +4 leadership and melee defense around him. We also have Remoldered, of course, giving a nice little regrowth to any of the Skaven Molder units. And we have Creature Killer as well, giving an AoE +16 bonus versus large and immune to psych. And of course, he is going to be bringing his Rat Ogre summon to boot. We have a Packmaster as well, going to be bringing a few things of his own, as he does have Running with the Pack, so an AoE regen for Molder units, so lots of healing for all of those pesky monster units. We have Scrying Stone and Shock Collar as well. And that looks to be wrapping things up for the Skaven. I'll swing on over to the very spread out formation that is the Wood Elves. So Ben the Barman's going to be bringing Dryads mixed in with some Eternal Guards for that front line. Some more Eternal Guards kind of slowly backing away here. We do have a Waystalker going to be bringing Arrows of Kurnus. Going to be trying to snipe out potentially some of those units. And we do also have the Sisters of Twilight. They are going to be up on their Eagle. They also have a Spellsinger of Life in support. So the Sisters are going to be bringing, I think I saw Conjoined Destiny, so they do have Conjoined Destiny, and with what the Skaven have, they don't really have any massive AoE, or not massive DPS, so they don't have like Jezzails, Rattling Guns, or something that can quickly deal damage. If the Sisters do commit to melee, Throt can do that burst damage, but as long as they stay up in the sky, they can very easily hit that Conjoined Destiny and get a nice bit of healing. They have Gwendolyr's Vantage, which comes with their Eagle Mount, and the Spellsinger going to be bringing, looks like we have Earthblood, and I believe that is Yeah, I want to say that is regrowth as well, kind of giving a little extra healing to those sisters just on the front that she doesn't get that conjoined destiny. Some Glade Riders also in the rear with spears, some nice cheap cav units, very good against the Skaven. You don't have to invest too much into Wild Riders. We do have Glade Guard as well, and with some Hagbane tips mixed in, but lots of ranged units for the Skaven. So should do quite well. Nothing too expensive for the troops to really get things down. So yes, the Skaven don't have any range units for specifically targeting the air units. They don't have the Jezzails or Rattling Guns. And then that is going to wrap things up for both sides. It is just going to be the 2 mortars for the ranged units. So they're going to have to try and hope that they can outlast the damage that those sisters can do. And they are going to get underway as we get going here. So at both sides, waiting just a little bit for me to get going. So yeah, Throt, with his speed, though, should be a little okay at dodging things, but here comes those arrows of Kurnus. Going to be trying to target the Plague Priest. However, the funny thing with the targeting against the Plague Priest, not a single shot's going to be hitting, is those shots actually target the Skaven. Let's see, where is he? Actually, so it is kind of a little troublesome targeting on these things. It often will target the center of mass, which is actually way up top, and it's not going to be hitting the main unit. As see those shots, one shot does go high, the other shot does finally connect. So for the sisters, their best bet's probably going to be going directly over top this Plague Priest and getting those shots in that way. As you can see, again, the shots from the sisters is missing at range because most of them are targeting a little higher on the unit than usual. So not really going for that base, and it can miss a lot easier. Yes, Furnace. Plague Furnace, so yeah. J Phoenix knowing his Skaven. I don't know if what I said earlier on, if I might have said the bell, but yeah, on that Furnace, it does target a little higher. Plague Priest is in the middle. Okay, so I was talking about the targeting. So it's the Grey Seer that is on the bell where the targeting is. But even so, it seems like the targeting is going higher on this unit. J Phoenix definitely will know more about that. So if he wants to touch base on that, I'll let him do that. Rest of the units, so we have the Glade Riders going to start circling around the back as they are going to get a nice little pressure into the rear, keep the Skaven at least focused on some other units here, as the Rat Ogres and the Spears going to be cycling out to try and screen out those Glade Riders. But the speed that those Glade Riders have are going to be quite helpful indeed, because there aren't going to be any Wolf Rats or anything like that. It's just the 2 Packmasters and Throt, or that, not 2 Packmasters, the 1 Packmaster, both on their Brood Horrors that have the speed to even catch up to those Glade Riders. But some mortar shots actually seem to have hit the Sisters of Twilight in the air. Not going to be doing a whole lot of damage regardless, but they did make some connection nonetheless. I think those Poison Wind Mortars definitely need to be off of fire at will, because those shots are, while they may hit the Sisters of Twilight here and there, they are not going to be doing anything good in terms of DPS. But, yep, things... Right now, the Wood Elf's going to be just content with firing away, slowly moving back, as the Sisters of Twilight going to be getting a lot of their shots in. Still continuing to focus down the Plague Priest. Again, as I say before, that Sisters of Twilight really should just go right above that Plague Priest, because the shots going directly down can do so much more damage, and then you don't have to really worry about things missing. And now we have the Glade Riders going to be coming in, trying to get on top of these Poison Wind Mortars, but the Rat Ogres are there to keep them at bay. As the Poison Winds continuing to fire, now they are going to be starting to target the infantry, and you'll see the damage just start to quickly rack up as they do get their shots into some very nice targets there. Yep, exactly, Ignacy. That is what I was saying before. Those Poison Wind Mortars definitely did not want to be shooting at those sisters. But the mobility of the Wood Elves is starting to get compromised right now, getting a little too greedy, trying to shut down the Poison Wind Mortars as quickly as they can. And they're going to be losing one of their Glade Riders here. Not the end of the world, but that is going to at least alleviate some of the pressure for the Skaven. But the Skaven right now are getting a little spread out on the front line, and the remaining Glade Rider should have the mobility as long as it stays active and doesn't get caught out by these Rat Ogres, which it does look like it's going to be doing. But we have a nice arc of fire coming in with all of these Glade Guard here, just start getting a nice round, and they can have some pretty nice DPS going the way of the Skaven. Unfortunately, Glade Riders does get shattered here, and the balance of power is slightly in the Skaven's favor right now, as even the Sisters have free reign of the sky, haven't been able to really do enough damage what they should have been able to do, particularly on the Plague Priest or even Throt or that Packmaster. But now Rat Ogre is going to be running havoc in the back line as Poison Winds are starting to hit across the line. These Blade Guards should have probably been a little bit more spread out because these shots from the Poison Wind Mortars are now able to hit multiple units, able to start really draining things. Throt did use his Rat Ogre summon to try and shut down even more of these Glade Guard. But things are definitely looking all right for the Skaven because there isn't any, or at least there isn't too much immediate pressure in the backline. We do have some of the Poison Wind Mortars coming back that were initially routed, and these units might rout as well if these Clan Rat Spears and Packmaster aren't able to push things off. But man, that Plague Priest is taking a ton of damage so far and is very likely to be going down pretty soon. Sisters then will have their ammo to spend on whatever else they want. We do have some of the Rat Ogres getting routed off the field. That's going to be good for the remaining Spear Riders. They are still active right now, as they are trying to push off these Poison Wind Mortars, as most of the Rat Ogres got tied up in the Glade Guard there. But now we have the Packmaster and Throt going to be cycling in, trying to save one of their Poison Wind Mortars. While these Poison Wind Mortars going to be wavering right now, probably going to be routing fairly soon. The other one did rout, so potentially the Wood Elves going to start moving forward in that balance of power, as both of the Poison Wind Mortars going to be shut down. Skaven should have been able to kind of keep things under wraps for that. There wasn't a whole lot of pressure on that backline, but I guess the focus fire from all these Glade Guards was enough to deal the damage to kind of push things off. And the Skaven definitely got really spread out here, which is going to help the Wood Elves because they can just kind of pick things apart as they want to right now. While they may not have both of their Glade Riders with spears, a decent Scorch there, they still have 2 Flyers with mobility themselves, and that Waystalker has plenty of ammunition left to continue firing away. Glade Riders do finally rout off that Plague Priest. Going to be able to make sure that that thing gets escorted off the map here. But Poison Wind Mortars, once again, going to be online, and we do have the Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep here to make sure that they stay online, and they should be, at least for the time being, a decent way out of range. But you can see that range arcs getting closer and closer to these Poison Wind Mortars, and that Waystalker, I believe, is the one, or actually that range out here is the Sisters of Twilight. And Wood Elves going to start pushing forward now, bit by bit. They are getting really grouped up here with their Glade Guard, as I noticed earlier on. A single volley could do pretty much almost rout off all 3 of those units in just a single volley, which would be pretty nasty for those Poison Wind Mortars, and would definitely compromise a bit of the range superiority that the Wood Elves currently enjoy. Though at this point, I guess the biggest problem for the Wood Elves is that the Sisters of Twilight have used up a lot of their ammunition, and Throt and that Packmaster are still sitting very, very healthy, and even the rest of these Glade Guard, and here you can see all 3 of those Glade Guard did get hit by a Poison Wind Mortar volley, and they're all taking a ton of damage. One's routing, this one should be routing, and there it goes, and the other one might very well be on its way with those Clan Rats currently engaged. And yeah, the Wood Elves, while they currently actually the Wood Elves are down in that balance power. I got those balance powers mixed up earlier on. The Skaven are starting to slowly move forward. Glade Riders getting on top of these Poison Wind Mortars, but Throt and the Packmaster, ever so vigilant, getting right on top of them, making sure that those Poison... Well, I don't know if they'll be able to necessarily save them, but it does look like they will. But they have done a ton of work so far, both of them using most of their ammunition, and seeing that all of these Glade Guard are slowly getting pushed off. Low ammunition across the board, and that's going to be very hard because the Packmaster and Throt are going to be a bit of a problem for the Sisters once they do completely use up the last of their ammunition. And even with that Spellslinger Life also on her Eagle, going to be a little trouble to deal with things that are left. Of course, there is the Waystalker, which has a ton of ammunition left, and is going to continue plucking away at the Poison Wind Mortars. Sister is going to be shooting in, taking down a couple more models and shattering this unit of Poison Wind Mortars. The other one is going to be slowly wavering, though at its current setting right here, only the Sisters really have a good target to shoot at it, and a couple more volleys will always help for those shots. Yeah, as the ammunition for the Wood Elves slowly dwindles away, I think the balance power is starting to shift more and more into the Skaven's favor. So it's going to really come down to, can the 2 Eagles take care of the 2 Broodhors? That's going to be what it breaks down, because the infantry fight is kind of even at this point. There's still quite a bit of Spears and Dryads left, and it's just Clan Rats that are here to contend with. If I don't know if the pit fighters, there they are going to be routing off, and having them around, especially needing to contend with the two sisters, could have been, or actually they do come back, so they can have quite a bit of healing left. I don't know if Throt has used up either of his remoldered yet. I haven't seen that just yet, and these pit fighters would be an excellent choice. They still have 5 models left, and if they can get close to these two, or at least to the Packmaster, they can get a little bit of passive healing to boot on top of that. But the Spellsinger are going to be committing to melee right here. Not sure if she necessarily wants to, but she looks like she will be able to pull out, even with the Brood Horrors hot on her tail. A single hit might be enough to stagger her. And that Spellsinger is going to try and take to the flight, but I don't know if she's going to be able to get up. Just as she was about to take up, she does get hit again, and is now stuck in combat with 2 Brood Horrors. That is definitely not where she wants to be. As the Skaven, you can see the balance of power going forward with each hit that they do make. And yeah, the balance of power now definitely in the Skaven's favor. And yeah, there's too much. I think there's too much infantry left for the Skaven. They're going to have that support around the Brood Horrors once the Eagles do finally have to commit to melee. And the last of the ground forces, we have this Waystalker, was actually terrified at the time. Will be coming back. It is being chased by Skaven Slave Spears. But actually, it does shatter, and there's army losses. That seems like it was a little quick for army losses, in my opinion. The sisters were still at full health. They still had the Spellsinger and a fairly healthy Waystalker. I know there was 2 healthy Packmasters and Throt was on the field, but I'm kind of surprised that triggered so early on. I don't think the battle was quite over yet, but apparently Warhammer decided that the Wood Elves would be put to flight. Take a look at the results here. The 2 Brood Horrors with the Packmaster and Throt not really doing a whole lot of damage, but these Poison Wind Mortars definitely paying for themselves, getting 1,200 apiece. The Pit Fighters and Rat Ogres doing good work screening out the Spears. Otherwise, nothing really stood above the rest. Plague Priest doing pretty much nothing as well. Yes, I do agree that Throt most likely wasn't going to die in that particular situation, Jay Phoenix, but I still kind of a little surprised that kind of broke a little earlier than the rest. Now, if we look at the other side, the Sisters of Twilight, surprisingly, that isn't as high as I would expect. They had 0 counters to them on the field. They should have been able to fly directly over the Plague Furnace, as well as Throt and the Packmaster, and done a ton of damage that way. So a lot of their shots did miss because they were engaging at a distance, and they definitely didn't need to do that. The rest of the units, if we look at the Glade Guard, which is really what made it as close as it was, doing a lot of good work, but not quite enough as it was. I think a few of them got a little too grouped up early on and allowing these Poison Wind Mortars to hit multiple units at a time. But that is going to be our first match there, as we swing on in to our second one, where we do have Ice Power taking the first one. Update the score there. GG's to both sides for the first one, and then we will have Ben the Barman picking first on the second one, and that one is going to be Karok Bufdar for our next match. All right, take a look at the comments while we do wait on the picks and bans for our second one. Yeah, that Skaven force definitely needed something to shoot into the skies. Not having anything was a bit of a problematic, especially now because like you have Hawk Riders, you have the Sisters particularly, because even the Hawk Riders can get hit by the Poison Wind Mortars. But otherwise, things definitely a little too little anti-air on the Skaven side. Though it turns out it actually worked out fairly well. Both the Wood Elves just kind of ran out of steam a bit there. Yes, I definitely agree. Papa Palpatine archers blobbed a little too much, especially at the end there. They got all 3 of them stacked up, and a single mortar shot was able to hit each and every one of them. Yep, I think, yeah, the Wood Elves definitely didn't play... Oh. Okay, so it looks like the map just wasn't showing up for them. They were just waiting on the map so they could do their picks and bans. So Ben the Barman, for our next match, will update the current picks and bans as well. So he's going to be picking greenskins, banning lizardmen, and counts. Banning lizardmen and vampire counts. Yes. Gladeguard not practicing proper COVID protocol. All right. All right. All right, and we do have our next matchup set. So Talcor did take the other spot, so he'll be facing Jay Phoenix in the next series. So we'll update that bracket as well to show it. Now Talcor made it to the finals in the first qualifier. He was defeated by Prussian Prince there. Yes, most Wood Elf archers do wear masks. I think there might be a couple that don't, though there's always the few odds in the bunch that don't follow the rest. So it looks like Ice Power is going to be going Coast for his counter. Oops, I messed up the picks there. Looking at the bands. There we go. And the counter pick. All right. So for this matchup, now depending on who you ask for the Coast versus Greenskins, you can definitely get conflicting ideas here on which counters the other. I definitely know a few Greenskins mains who this is their counter to Coast, where a lot of people consider the Coast to be the counter to Greenskins. It just kind of depends on how each side plays it. Generally, and I think it's probably a little bit more, I wouldn't say necessarily Greenskin favored, but it's probably a little bit closer to that greenskin side. With the bombers, they don't necessarily perform as well as they used to, but they still perform quite well. And then having all of the the deck drop or the air bats with guns, I should know the unit, but they do provide quite a bit of a deterrent to most of the greenskins, though the greenskins can go very heavy on the archers, and savage orcs do quite well, and they can cut through the front line of the vampire coast quite effectively. David Versassi is hoping for some Queen Bess here. I don't know if actually it's not necessarily a bad pick, because there are a few tools that the greenskins has. They have Vindictive Glare for one. They have the Gaze of Mork, one of those two, that can also help snipe out artillery pieces, so it can be a little risky, but depending on the map, I know this map does have a few bits of cover for the Queen Bess, so it could do alright. Ben Marman's just going to be right back. He has to step away for just a hot second. and then he'll be back. But his army is ready to go. So as soon as ice power is set up as well, we'll load on in, and then we can start going over the armies while we wait on his return. But yeah, definitely expect. I mean, mortars are a pretty decent pick for coast here, and I'm pretty much expecting a lot of archers from the greenskins, one way or the other, and that's usually how you deal with coast anyways. Low armor and things like that, though they can kind of throw a little few things into the mix that have some good armor with like the Rotting Prometheans. They do have some very big crabs as well, the Leviathans, which can be a bit of a trouble to kind of break things down. Yeah, you can actually, so you could do a Queen Bess, 2 Rotting Leviathans, and kind of flank your Queen Bess here to kind of make sure that nothing can really snipe it out. Well, that's a lot of funds, though, into essentially a body blocker for an artillery piece, though it could work. So Ben is back, and we can... So as soon as Ice Power's got his army loaded on in, then we can hop right on into this next match. It is going to be on Karak Bufdar. Pretty open map, a little bit of hills, but nothing too big that can really obstruct things. But should be nice, good, and fun. Alright, and we are ready to go as we load on in to our second game in this first semifinal. Alright, we are loaded on in. We'll see what we've got. So, for Coast, led by Ice Power, we do have triple mortars on the field to really deal with all of the archers or other lightly armored troops that the Greenskins do have. They do have a couple bombers as well. We have 3 handguns. We do have the Lamprey's Revenge, the Rotting Leviathans. They do have their own little bit of regeneration. And we have a few Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs with polearms. We do have some Felbats in the air as well to help chase things off. And we have a few more Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs with a regular variant to mix things up for that front line. We have a Vampire Fleet Captain of Vampires going to be bringing Raised Dead and Invocation of Nehek. Pretty common stuff, especially when you are going to be bringing Luther Harkon up on his own Terrorgeist. And he is going to be bringing Hornswoggle as well as Magical Void, funnily enough, but it is pretty much to keep him at least a little bit more safe from like Vindictive Glares and things like that that do try and snipe him out, give him a little bit extra resist. And of course, the Terrorgeist, he does have regen, and he does have that breath attack. Now for the Greenskins, going to be led by Ben the Barman. We do have a front line of Orc Boys spread across the field. And we do have a little bit of skirmish in the regards of some Death Creepers, which do have a bit of regeneration themselves, and they do have poison, of course, which is very nice to kind of slow things down. Though really the poison is going to be only good against like Luther, against kind of the bigger targets like the Lamprey's Revenge, because poisoning down these Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs is really hard to lower them much lower than they are. We do have Orc Arrow Boys, lots of archers. So we have Savage Orc Arrow Boys as well, which can really put a hurt on to Luther if he does get a little too close to all of these units. So a lot of archers, as I was kind of expecting. We do have some Force Goblin Spider Riders also in the back to kind of provide a little bit of mobile poison as well. And in the tree line, we do have a giant river troll hag going to be bringing Spirit Leech and Mither, as we have Grom the Paunch as well. And for his abilities, he is going to be bringing the Language of the Boys, giving melee defense, leadership, and immune psychology in an AoE. As you have the Great Un is here as well. And we have Lucky Banner giving 40 melee attack and damage resist, and the damage resist can be quite helpful when Luther is going to be targeting him. But we also have another caster with an Orc Shaman, and the Orc Shaman, it looks like, yeah, Brain Bursta is going to be one of the spells, as well as Fist of Gork giving magic damage, which is very helpful against any of the Ethria units, though luckily for the Greenskins, there aren't going to be any on the field. Which gives also 24 melee attack and melee defense, which is pretty decent as well to really help chew through that front line. And Scroll of Shielding, once again, some damage resist to help against any of the character sniping that the Vampire Coast can do. So let everyone know, ready to go. And we will get on in to this next match. Yes, the definitely nerf to Luther's ammunition hurts matches kind of like this, where he uses most of his ammunition. So matches like Greenskins, Greenskins, Norska, Chaos are big ones that I've noticed that's a loss of ammunition in mostly, because you really have to be careful on what you use it in, because it went from like 50 to 20, which is pretty considerable. So right now everything is just kind of going to be keeping back. The mortar is going to be opening fire, and there's nothing that the greenskins have. Sometimes you do see like rock lobbers and stuff like that to provide a little bit counter to the mortars, though right now the greenskins are just going to have to push up and maybe try and get their mobility around the back and into the rear of these mortars if they can. The only real mobility that the Coast Army does have is the Fellbats and Luther himself. They do of course have those summons from the Vampire Fleet Captain to provide a little bit extra firepower to anything that gets into these mortars, and of course we do have the two pole arms in the back protecting that. But for now, the mortars are just going to be free to fire in as often as they want. These archers are going to be a long way from getting into range of those, so those mortars are going to be able to rack up quite a bit of damage. And yeah, definitely have to worry a bit about these bombers as well as the handguns supporting them. But the mortars, I think, is going to be the biggest damage dealer, at least on the initial approach. There's just going to be trying to get some free damage as he can, just cycling in and out. And right now, the Death Creeper is going to be trying to get some fire into the Fellbats, eliminate that quick mobility that can chase things off. Because if you can eliminate these Fellbats pretty early on, I think it would be very, very helpful for the Greenskins, because that means anything that does route isn't going to be automatically chased off. Because even they don't have anything that's super quick in mobility. There is the Force Goblin Spider Riders that can help with that. Though I'm pretty sure these were brought for the Scurvy Dogs, and they do quite well against Scurvy Dogs, considering they have poison, and they quickly cause those Scurvy Dogs to crumble, though these handguns going to be opening up right into these Death Creepers, doing quite a bit of damage, already down to 35 models, and another volley is going to go off, and you can just kind of see that damage start to rack up. A few of the shots, though, are going to be missing as they do finally pull back, and they do have regen, of course, so they will be able to get a lot of that back. And a nice little breath attack, though, going to be hitting a Grom. He does have his own regen, of course, so that damage should be able to be healed up back to full. So at least as long as he stays back a little bit away from all of these handgun units, he should be doing all right. Now the front lines are going to start engaging here, and the Orc boy is going to be taking a ton of fire from these bombers, but all of those archer lines are just opening up into these bombers, and a very nice brain burster as well. So all of these archers should be able to break down these bombers very quickly, and that is exactly what they need to do, and the rest of the units going to be getting onto these bombers. And even Grom's going to be getting forward, trying to do some damage to their caster and get him out of the picture, but he has extended a little bit too far, as now Luther Harkon's going to be getting some nice damage into him as he does pull back once again, and that gun line as well, just opening up as all three of these handguns just lighting up Grom. He does have his lucky banner, so that 40 magic damage resist did very, very good work to allow him to stay in it, because he very well could have been routed off had he not popped that there. Archers getting a little far forward here. They don't want to be stuck in combat here, as that will kind of stop them from firing, at least initially. But the rest of the archers, there is just so many archers left. Even if some do get routed off, it isn't the end of the world right now. And I think the bombers, they should be targeting these archers more than they are, because those archers are going to put quite a hurt on most of what the Vampire Coast has. But we'll see how things do. We have another Spirit Leech going to be going down on top of the Vamp Caster here. I'm trying to get them out of the picture, so might have to force some magic to be used for an invocation, because it can just heal herself up. But another Brain Burster right into that very boxed up formation of handguns there, doing quite a bit of good work there. Yeah, things so far, I'd say it's going not the worst for the Greenskins, just considering all of the archers that they have left, as we now are getting some of the Force Goblin Spider Riders into the gun lines. and those Felbats did get lit up and taken out of the sky without really doing anything by these Orc Arrow boys. That's definitely something that they needed to deal with, though at this point the things that they are going to be hard to deal with is Luther, these rotting Prometheans, because there isn't a whole lot of armor piercing. They're just going to have to saturate them with a bunch of archer fire and hope that it's enough to take them down. Grom the Paunch could probably do some decent work, but they do fire it when they're in melee, the Lamprey's Revenge, which could be a bit problematic, and more of the handguns, they really need to shut them down before Grom can really get into things. And these mortars are going to be protected by 3 more of these polearms, and at this point, if we're looking at what the Greenskins have left for mobility, there are some units. It wouldn't be a bad idea for the Coast to bring at least one of their polearms forward to provide a little bit extra support, though the Vampcaster is going to be using one of the summons just to kind of slow down the approach of the Greenskins. The Wah does finally go off, and I wonder if that was a little too early, but there's not a whole lot frontline left, and that's probably what the Greenskins are going to struggle with, is what they have left is pretty much all archers. That Vampcaster did heal himself up to full. Brain Bursta once more going to be going down into this boxed up formation. Ice Power definitely should have spread out these formations a bit. I know in the box formation it can retarget a lot quicker, but with the Brain Bursts, they've just been doing so much damage to those grouped up formations. But Luther is going to be sniping out. The Giant River Troll Hag does get Hornswoggled, minus 24 melee defense armor, and that is going to be it for the Spirit Leeches. And that is going to be a sure hit to the Greenskin army indeed, as now they are pretty much relying solely on their archer fire. But the ammunition for these mortars is slowly going down right now. They really need to kind of focus things down, while the Greenskins should probably spread out. This is another problem that happened with the Wood Elf battle just before here, is the archers got all grouped up, so the mortars, much like the Poison Wind mortars for the Skaven, are all just going to fire into this nice blob and just wreck multiple units at once, and having all the archers spread out makes it very hard to shut them all down. So some of these Force-Gone Spy Riders going to kind of just cycling around. There's not really putting any direct pressure on all of these units, as now the polearms do finally move forward here, going to react to those Orc boys. But having all these polearms back did mean that these handguns did get compromised, and with that, Luther and the Rotting Prometheans is pretty much the only thing left that can deal with Grom the Paunch. Those mortars sure as hell aren't going to be able to deal with it, and Grom should be able to cycle in and out of these polearms fairly effectively, because they're not depth guard, so it is still just zombies after all. And another nice Brain Burst. The Brain Burstas have been on point so far, doing a lot of damage, a lot of HP damage, and that is the big thing. There is still quite a bit of ammunition left on all of these Savage Orc archers, though they have started to take quite a bit of damage slowly but surely, but Luther himself is getting low as well. And though I think the problem here is, can all of these archers deal with the Lamprey's Revenge? Because they do heal, and there is another heal going their way from that Vampcaster, and as long as those heals are going to be going down, should be able to out-heal all the damage that is being dealt their way. And yeah, full health Luther, fairly healthy. Lamprey's Revenge is going to be quite a hard task indeed, especially now that these mobility of the Force-Gone Spider Riders are being pushed off. There might be another unit still sitting over here, but once they are gone, all of these polearms are going to be able to move forward, and nothing is going to be able to really pressure them too heavily, as even these Death Creepers are going to be unable to deal with that Vampire Fleet Captain, as more and more units are getting shattered left and right for the Greenskins, and the balance of power now heavily in the Coast favor right now. And yeah, I just don't think that they have the ammunition and the stopping power left to deal with what the Coast have. Yeah, Savage Orcs, Papa Palpatine, I've noticed can really put a hurt on that front line, because they do have physical resist as well. Which does help in that regards. Not a whole lot of magic damage that Coast usually bring, though they could bring Sirens, though that's what the Orc Shaman is there for, to kind of give that stopping power against them. But definitely being unable to compromise these mortars, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what the mortar damage is going to be on all these, because they used up all of their ammunition, and against all very lightly armored troops. Well, now Grom finally is going to be able to get on top of the Vampire Fleet Captain, though Luther Harkon should have no trouble dealing with Grom at this point. And I think it is army losses, and away goes the Greenskin Wah, and the Coast will take the day. And Ice Power will advance to the finals, taking the first series 2-0. Yes, Papa Palpatine bombers don't have the same DPS that they once did, though they can do quite well. Though this one, they did get compromised fairly early on if we take a look at them, only getting like pretty much no value whatsoever. But the mortars, on the other hand, 1100, and almost 1000. So they did quite a bit of work there. Velbats unfortunately didn't do anything, and the gun line themselves even did very good work, racking up almost 900 and 1000 per unit. Luther he didn't nearly pay for himself, but he was just a fearsome presence on the field. It used up all his ammo. And if we look at the greenskins, unfortunately Grom didn't do a whole lot. Brain bursts, kind of thought it'd be a little bit higher on the damage side, but otherwise not a whole lot of value there. The archers, not quite doing as much work as they wanted. Yeah. Unfortunate for the greenskins there. Just couldn't push through and get onto the high value targets quickly enough. And I mean, yeah, the Lamprey's Revenge at that point were pretty much unkillable. All right. So that is our first semifinal down. All right, so now we have our next match. Lobby is open, so we have Talcor and Jay Phoenix. I'll send little pings to them both, make sure that they do join. Oh, okay, so Talcor and Jay have a lobby up, so I will just join them there. Let's see if I can see it. There it is. All right. So we are hopping on in. They should have the map set. And oh my, is this going to be a Skaven mirror to start things off? So yeah, we'll go to the bracket quick and update that. So Ice Power does advance to the finals. Mongol still can be useful, but bringing all the guns just a little bit more so. Though a melee rush by the greenskins may have been enough to overwhelm that last build that Coast had, because they had a lot of invested into handguns, mortars, and they didn't have a whole lot for frontline troops. And had they been able to quickly pretty much just mow through that, I don't know if they would have lasted long enough to really put the hurt on them. So yeah, it is going to be a Skaven mirror for this next one. Let's update our little between game UI here as the picks for this round. I'm just going to hide this so the... What? Why is this still showing up? Might have accidentally pulled that one out. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Okay. So yeah, it is Skaven versus Skaven as they do load on into the first match. This is going to be quite an interesting game, I think. So we'll just update this quick. They have loaded in already. This is going to be an interesting match indeed. So, Talcor went Skaven, banned Wood Elves and Beastmen. So I got to update all of the leaderboards here before they get going. So we have Jay Phoenix on the left. Wait, did Talcor pick first? Oh no, Jay picked first, banned Wood Elves and Beastmen. Hey, Ice Power. Good game so far. All right, now we can switch on over to the scene, and we can start going over the armies. So for J Phoenix's Skaven, we do have Nanny Boo Boo Sharpshooters. We have a Poison Wind Mortar, and we have 2 Poison Wind Globadiers. So quite a bit Poison Wind sources for them. I did see this build being used earlier today by J Phoenix in another Skaven mirror. He has double Assassins as well. Going to be bringing Rival Hide Talisman and I believe the Assassin's Trophy. We have a Gracier of Plague going to be bringing, I believe the Dreaded 13th is going to be in here. We have Scorch, Unholy Clamor. There's the Dreaded 13th, and Vermintide as well, with, of course, Arcane Conduit. Frontline, we do have some Gutter Runners with Poison to really help kind of skirmish things out, do some nice chip damage, and otherwise it's going to be Skaven Slaves. We have some Clan Rat Spears kind of mixed into things, and a couple Rat Ogres in the back to kind of keep that back line up and operational. One of which is the Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep as well. Of course, we have that Berserk ability. And for the Talcor side, did I... Ah, bloody hell. Okay, we'll fix that quick. Okay. There we go. Thought it looked wrong. So anyways, for Talcor's side, we do have Clan Rats for that front line just spread all the way across the board. We do have Clan Vulcan's Tail Slashers as well. And then we have Rat Ogres mixed in as well, 4 in total, one of which, of course, is Pit Fighters at Hell's Deep. We do have some mobility with Wolf Rats with Poison, 4 in total. And we have Skaven Slaves, an Assassin here. We have Lord Skrulk with Lear Bubanicus and Rod of Corruption, as well as another Assassin. So double Assassin both sides, Lord Skrulk as well. So Lord Skrulk, he does also have Pestilent Breath, as well as Vermintide and Pestilent Birth. So a lot of summons on both sides. No Hell Pit Abominations in either side for this. A little interesting. Normally you do see that. Yes, I fixed the spell there, Bob. It's all ready to go now. So both sides going to start engaging. So the Great Gutter Runners going to be firing away. Luckily, they do have Poison, so their base speed is... Actually, right now it's down to 48 speed versus the 90 on the other side. So these Gutter Runners and Night Runners as well gonna have their work cut out for them trying to keep these wolf rats at bay, but luckily we do have the rat ogres here to kind of help screen them out, and so they'll be continuing to fire in bit by bit. And now those poison wind shots are starting to hit home, hitting a lot of these clan rats. Going to start whittling down that HP by quite a bit, but we're going to be seeing a lot of pressure in that back line by these wolf rats, which is going to be a bit of a troublesome thing to deal with, especially considering we have the natty boo boos. There's a lot of range units in that back. And the Plague Warders, you would definitely think that it doesn't quite pay for themselves, because there's everything on the Skaven side is so cheap that they're going to get a lot of HP damage, and that's pretty much what it's for. Now, however, the Poison Wind Globadiers only cost like 550, so they'll be able to pay for themselves a lot easier, and especially at the close range when everything is just blobbed up. We have both of the Assassins that are going to be jumping on top of, what is this? This is Lord Skrulk mixing this. So that's actually the Pit Fighters mixed in there. We do get just kind of a mass of units jumping into things, and the Poison Wind Mortars here getting a little too far forward here, unable to fire at this point, though we do have the Poison Wind Globadiers in the back still firing away. The Manaboo Sharpshooters are temporarily shut down by these wolf rats, and their summons getting onto those Plague Monks getting onto the Poison Wind Globadiers. Skaven everywhere you look, and it is just a mass of units, Poison Wind across the board. And it looks like the J Phoenix's side is being a little bit, doing a little bit better, at least for now. However, having these poison winds shut down, is going to slowly push the balance power back into Talcor's favor, at least initially, or over time, if they stay shut down. And we do have some of the wolf rats We'll see if they were able to kind of stabilize, because if they do rout off, that is going to be definitely good for Jay Phoenix, because that'll allow his Poison Wind Globadiers and Mortars and Giselles to come back and start firing again. And here comes that another charge right into the unprotected Nanibuba Sharpshooters and Poison Wind Globadiers. Jay Phoenix trying to respond to that, trying to send some of these Clan Rat Spears over to kind of repel them, though these Wolf Rats do end up routing regardless. It looks like they had a little bit of Poison Wind caught on top of them, or something of that nature, as some more shots continue firing away at more of the Skaven. Balance power is now at even, as some of those Poison Winds were shut down, as there's just a mass of Talcor's Skaven right here, going to be able to get shutting down these Poison Wind Globadiers, keeping them from firing, and that should be fairly helpful, at least for now. And if they are able to make sure that they stay off the field, because having the 4 Rat Ogres is definitely going to help. Now, Lord Skrulk has taken a bit of damage, but pretty much a nice surround off should instantly break these Night Runners, even with that Grey Seer so close indeed. But we do have one of Jay's assassins is going to be routing off the field. If we look at the front line, try and make sense of what is happening here. We do have 2 assassins on top of just Jay's, so the hero battle is going the way for Talcor, especially with a lot more infantry still left on the field to help shut things down. And Jay Phoenix is kind of scrambling a bit to keep his Poison Winds, Giselles, and that's kind of stuff online and firing. We do have some Poison Winds in the back, and to be able to start firing away once again. But yeah, it is still too close to call, as we are really not sure what's going to be happening one way or the other. Jay's assassin is starting to take quite a bit of damage. I don't know what happened to the other. The other one is starting to return, but they are quite a bit lower than what Talcor has for his 2 assassin squads. And Lord Skrulk, with his Rod of Corruption, able to do a nice bit of damage in an AoE around him. And of course, he still has his Liber Bubonicus as well, which I'm not sure if he's used any yet. That Grey Seer has taken a decent amount of damage, so one may have gone that way, though it could have also gone the way of these Poison Winds to kind of make sure that they stay off the field. Because, man, yeah, this is just a mess of a battle so far, with Skaven routing coming back across the board. And the Wolf Rats, I think the mobility of Talcor is starting to show in this late stages of the battle. They still have quite a bit, I wouldn't say quite a bit, but they have enough left. They have Rat Ogres, they still have a unit of Wolf Rats over here. While on Jay's side, I don't see any of the Rat Ogres still left. We see them routing here. Another of the Assassin routes again. And it is just down to that Grey Seer trying to hold back everything else. These Poison Wind Globadiers only using a fraction of their ammunition. But now the Poison Wind Mortars are going to start being able to fire into this blob of Skaven infantry. And most of that Skaven infantry is Talcor's. So most of that shot's going to be doing positive damage for Jay Phoenix, though there will be some friendly fire mixed in as they do clip some of those Poison Wind Globadiers as well. And Natty Boo Boo is going to be firing away on top of that. And that is going to be Jay Phoenix's second assassin. This time, I don't think he's going to be coming back. He is sitting at just a whopping 113 health, and the Slinger is going to be firing away at the Plague, the Grey Seer of Plague here, up on his bell. Going to be doing some decent damage, and of course we still have both of the assassins and Lord Skrulk. Well, Lord Skrulk is fairly low, though. Army loss is going to be triggering for Jay Phoenix, as he just didn't have enough to kind of keep the rest of his Globadiers firing, and the rush ends up winning out in this battle. So I definitely think the Poison Wind Mortars probably were a little too risky. I doubt they would have paid for themselves. We'll take a look at that after battle report, as Talcor does take that first one, so we'll update the score on that. So Talcor takes the first one, and if you take a look at the Poison Wind Mortars, they only got 500, so they only paid for about 50% of their cost, while both of the Poison Wind Globadiers did a ton of work, so it probably would have been better to stick with the Globadiers versus the Mortars. Mortars, having just such a few model count, can quickly make sure that they're compromised. If a single Wolf Rat gets on them, they can do so much damage so quickly against them and push them off very fast. And of course, Lord Skrulk with his Liber Bubonicus as well can do a lot of damage that way on top of things. Unfortunately, the assassins on Jay Phoenix's side got beat out by the assassins from Talcor. And the having more rat ogres ended up proving to be very valuable in that late game. Being able to have that mobility advantage, being able to shut things down, and constantly harassing J Phoenix's backline. And Talcor really didn't have to worry about a backline. He had one slinger, and that was it. He was able to focus completely on that frontline engagement and trying to get into J Phoenix's Globadiers and the like. But that is going to be our first map down. And now we will get into the next one. So I'll update the picks and bans from that first match. It is Wood Elves and Beastmen were banned first. So, let's see. It was Wood Elves and Beastmen. All right. Now just waiting on the picks for this next matchup. Take a look at what you guys were talking about during that last fight. All right. So anyways, Talcor going to be going Empire, banning Dwarves and Greenskins. So he's going to be going with Empire, and J Phoenix is going to respond very quickly with High Elves. All right. And there we are. So I definitely know J Phoenix has a build he likes using against Empire. We'll see if he decides to go with it this time or not. I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys just yet. He could try and mix things up, though, for Empire and High Elves. I mean, both sides have things that can deal with that. I know Empire generally likes to go very, it's not going to say heavy skirmish, but having Outriders and Pistoliers definitely helps quite a bit. Having that DPS against potential dragons, L'Ariel or the like, can do quite well. You also want a little bit of mobile cav as well, though I don't necessarily think Demigryph Knights are the way to go necessarily, because you can maybe see like the Dragon Princes, though I'm not necessarily, because there's so many gunpowder units that the Empire can bring. Those very elite cav units can take quite a bit of damage before paying for themselves. It might not necessarily be worth it, especially with cannons and the like for artillery. Oops. Okay, good. I just realized I wasn't spectating. Or I didn't host a spectator, so I was all of a sudden seeing J Phoenix start picking his armies. So luckily we have our screen blocker up, so no one's going to be able to see what the armies are. All right, well, while we're waiting on army selections, I can update the match 2 picks and bans as well. And we banned Dwarves. And green skins. There we are. Yeah, for those who are joining recently, this is our second semifinal. This is game 2. Talcor took the first one in a Skaven mirror. Always a crazy matchup that one is. Our first series, we'll take a look at the bracket quick as well, was Ben the Barman versus Ice Power. Ice Power did take that one 2-0. J Phoenix is ready to go, so we're just waiting on Talcor now, and then we can get on into that matchup. I do have the map set, but should be a fun match nonetheless, and see if J Phoenix can force this into a game 3 to see who takes the final spot in the finals. That will be a best of 5, and that will take one of the qualifier spots for the season finale. This is the third qualifier. We're going to have one more qualifier, hopefully sometime in the next couple weeks, and then after that we will have the final, hopefully early February, I'm hoping. And now we are loaded on in, so let's switch on over. We can then go over what both sides have brought to the table for this matchup. All right. We are loaded into the map, just waiting on both of the contestants. All right, and here we go. So for the High Elves, led by J Phoenix, we do have Alith Anar going to be leading the forces for the Lord. And Alith Anar going to be bringing Moonbow and his little Mirage ability here, I believe. So Mislead. So he does... he gets Stalk, Snipe, and Unspottable, and he creates an image of Alith Anar to kind of deter other units, or at least get them focused and maybe wasting ammo on other targets. We do have a Mage of High and a Mage of Light. The Mage of High is going to be on horse, while the Mage of Light is going to be on foot. Mage of Light just has Net of Amnatok, and the Mage of High looks like we do have Soul Quench and Apotheosis. So Soul Quench is going to be looking to kind of snipe out any of the Empire artillery pieces, while the rest of the forces here for the High Elves, we do have Sisters of Averlorn. So we have a couple of units of those. We have some Lothern Seaguard as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 3 Lothern Seaguard. And then we do have the Illyrian Reavers. We have a pair of Rangers as well to really break through the state troops of the Empire. And as long as not bringing any great swords, they should do quite well against pretty much anything that they've got. We do have some Spearmen on top of that. And I did see... one unit of Swordmasters of Hoeth with a little bit of armor piercing. For mobility, we have the Rahagra's Pride, War Lions of Trace. They do have a war ability which can reduce the leadership. So a little leadership bomb. So let's see, if we take a little look, its speed and leadership is what it drops. So -8 leadership and -25% in speed. So a nice little leadership bomb, maybe help break some of the units or help catch some of the skirmish that the Illyrian Reavers can then jump on top of. Now for the Empire. The Empire does have a bit of artillery here, so the High Elves will have to advance through that, though that's what Soul Quench is going to be here for. We have some great cannons going to be protected by some spears in the rear. Now we do have actually quite a bit of Demigryph Knights. So the Demigryph Knights going to be a very fearsome foe on the field, as we do have 2 units of Demis. And the rest of the units, we have 2 Empire Knights on top of that. Actually, 3 units of Demis. One of them is going to have halberds in the forest here. We have Balthasar of Gelt. Actually, he's going to be on foot this time, not hoping to get tangled up with any of those very dangerous flyers that the High Elves can be bringing. He is going to be bringing Plague of Rust, Final Transmutation, as well as the Staff of Volans, getting quite a bit of magic on the field. Now for the rest of the forces, we have a front line of swordsmen going to be mixed in here. I don't see the Sons of Sigmar, so they are not going to be here. And we have the Silver Bullets, though, so they do have magic damage. A very good ROR unit there. And we have some archers just kind of in the back to kind of hopefully pluck away at some of the other archers, though all of them is Lothern Seaguard, and I do believe they actually do not have the shielded variant, so just the spears, so they could do a decent amount of damage to them, and a few more spears to kind of round things out. But now the High Elves going to be forcing to advance at this point. Alethadar has used his Mirage, so he does have 2 units here, so they're both going to be firing away, doing some decent shots into the force right now. And these units are right at the edge, so these trees not going to be blocking any shots. But the mobility here for the Empire is going to be the hardest thing to deal with. Hey Blackthorn, welcome to the stream. Saw you playing earlier on. Yes, Papa Peltine, very sad day indeed when there is no Sigmar Sons. Usually a very common pick against pretty much everything. We do have a, is it an overcasted? It is an overcasted final transmutation. Is actually going to break that high mage. So that's going to be losing, well, it should come back. So it is gone for now, but unfortunately it does route right through the line and doing a little bit of extra damage to the Swordmasters, Lothern, and even the Light Mage as well. But initially a lot of damage gone its way, unfortunately for it, but it should be coming back, hopefully. I would expect it to be back by now, but it is currently making its way towards the edge of the map. I would be ashamed to lose that Soul Quench so early on, when only one of the Great Cannons did get taken out. It'd be very nice to have all of them off the field. But now the Sisters of Avalorn going to be firing into these Empire Knights slowly but surely, as the High Elves do slowly move forward against the, at least the position for the Empire here. And there's not a whole lot that can deal damage to the infantry that the High Elves have brought. The Mage of High has returned, giving an Apotheosis to herself, giving a little bit of extra healing her way. The bounce power so far a little bit in the High Elf favor, and the shots from the Sisters of Avalorn going to be finding its mark against these Empire Knights, as they do get a nice charge, though, into the Rangers to keep them from getting their charge onto the Swordsmen. Though now these Empire Knights taking a ton of damage from all of the Archers right here. Sister of Avalorn just lighting them up. Going to be actually probably routing them off the field here, though they do seem to be stabilizing. Another volley is going to be coming their way, and away they do go, at least for now. And the rest of the forces, though, the Rangers should be able to push through, though with the support of the Demigryph Knights on that front flank, they should be able to do quite a bit of damage, and a nice little bit of Searing Doom going down onto these Lothern Seaguard, doing some decent damage there. Rahagar's Pride now engaging with the Demigryph Knights. They do use its Roar, and a Net of Amnatok goes down as well, netting down these Demigryph Knights as well as these Empire Knights. And now the Sisters of Avalorn going to be firing in point-blank range into these Demigryph Knights with halberds, and you can just see that damage just start to rack up bit by bit as the volleys do slowly kind of make their way in. But now these Sisters going to be turning their target to these other Demigryph Knights, and now that the Net of Amnatok is off the field, they have free reign to get a nice charge off into these very expensive Sisters of Avalorn, and there's nothing really close by to kind of counter that right now. And even these other units, now that that net has worn off, these Knights and these Demis have gotten on top of them as well, and the balance of power definitely not looking so great. Well, it's even right now, but with all of these very expensive units compromised and the cannons still up and running, though it looks like we have another Soul Quench going to be going its way. We'll see if it does get its way off. But having the Sisters of Avalorn taking so much damage early on by these Demigryph Knights, and the High Elves don't have anything close by to really deter it. The Sisters of Avalorn were their answers to the Demis, and did that Great Cannon lose? And the Great Cannon did lose another of its artillery pieces, but losing the Sisters of Avalorn is going to be very dangerous. However, the Demigryph Knights did get pushed back, at least for now, though they are getting very close to the edge of the map, and the Empire Knights going to try and finish what the Demis could not do. Hey, Happy Puppy, welcome to the stream. Another one rooting for Jay. The Demis do return, though, and now they do have a few of them kind of grouped up together here, though the Lothern Seaguard will hold fairly decently. They are a spear unit themselves, but losing these Sisters of Avalorn is going to be so critical. We do have one of them back up online, so J Phoenix really needs to commit to keeping these guys nice and healthy, to use up their ammunition on those Demis, because once those Sisters of Avalorn go, you just have regular spears. You do have Alethadar still, which can peel off models from the Demigryph Knights, but you do not want to lose all of these Sisters of Avalorn. It's going to be very hard for them to come back because of it, and you can see that balance of power is slowly creeping towards the Empire's favor, even though we do have the Swordmasters of Hoeth in that backline trying to get on top of the rest of the units here, though the Silver Bullets are just going to light them up with volleys as they do try and chase down the other units. So those Swordmasters not in a good spot right now, and things not looking so hot, though some of the Demis do get routed off, and they have taken quite a bit of damage overall, but just still having them left, and the Sisters have returned, so there is a chance for them to come back in this fight. The archer is peppering this mage of the high mage right now, doing a decent amount of work there. And it looks like we have another net trying to pin these guys in for as long as they physically can to break them down, as the sisters do fire once again. And I still don't know if the high elves can come back here, just with how low the Sisters of Avalorn are. That Great Cannon can be firing right down the line of these sisters, and if that sisters, like, luckily it's not completely in line with that cannon, but that could be some devastating damage with a single shot there. Demi's going to try and hide amongst the trees here by the looks of things, or they're just going to be pulling out, trying to avoid the fire from those sisters as best that they can. But yeah, now balance of power is dangerously close to army losses, and I don't think the High Elves have what it takes to hold things back, as the rest of the infantry is going to slowly collapse upon the remaining Sisters of Avalorn. Alithanar does try and use his last Mirage to try and at least get some distraction, but I think it is going to be too little too late, as the army losses is sure to trigger momentarily. Nothing left to shut down the Great Cannons or these Silver Bullets, and even though the Demigryph Knights have taken quite a bit of damage overall, I don't think there is any way back. That is going to be a GG from Jay. And I'm guessing army losses should be triggering any second now. And there it is. Empire takes it. Talcor takes the semifinal, and he will advance to the finals to face off against Ice Power. From Legend, everyone's coming in over here. Very nice indeed. Welcome to the stream, guys. You're just in time to catch the final, the finale here for the third qualifier of the Rise of the Mortarchs. So a quick go over this battle here. Take a look at the results. As the Sister of Avalorn did actually do quite a bit of damage. The Demigryph Knights did, but the fact that the Demigryph Knights were even there meant that everything else just couldn't be focused down enough. There's just too many things on the Empire side to deal with. And yeah, just unfortunate for Jay Phoenix. Had his sisters been able to get all of their ammunition off, that may have been something to kind of work with, but in the end was not quite enough. So, Ice Power, we can do either join in Talcor's lobby. I believe it's called J versus Talcor. You can join that one in. Password, actually, I won't say that out loud. But Ice Power, okay, you are in. So we can get in for this next fight. I'll switch on over to the between screens here. Welcome everyone once again to the stream. 120, 150 viewers, very nice. Welcome everyone to the channel. And yeah, just in time to face Ice Power and Talcor, so we'll update the bracket as well. So Talcor advances, and this is going to be a best of 5, so they should know the maps. I'll just kind of remind them real quick. First one is going to be Swamp of Terror. Of Terror is first map. Oops. Uh-oh, did I... Oh, we crashed. Okay, we'll have to get that lobby back up. All right. So I'll hop back on in. And while we wait for that to load back in, we can update our scoreboard here to get the next one set up. All right, loading on in. We have Talcor, of course, on one side, and it's going to be against Ice Power. Well, hopefully they didn't start already. Just ping both sides. See, I don't see the lobby, so we're just going to host the next one. Alright, I'll send an invite to both sides. I should have them on Steam. I thank you, Darren. There's Talcor and Ice Power. Alright, Ice Power is joined in. And so has Talcor. Both sides are still correct. Alright. Oh, Ice. Alright, so now I get control of the maps. So map is set. So this first map, it's actually kind of an interesting map. Yes, I believe Ice, yes, Ice is first pick. So this is pick and ban 1. Alright, so these first, it's going to be pick and ban 1 for each of the first 4 of the matches in a best of 5. The 5th one would be a pick 3, ban 1, followed by whoever picks second bans 1 of the 3 and picks their own. And then the initial player picks from the last 2 factions. And we'll see if we get to one of those. It's been pretty quick so far. It's been 2-0 for the first 2 rounds. But now it's going to be Ice Power and Talcor. And for a little background, let's go over to this. This is for the first 2 qualifiers. Russian Prince won Qualifier 1. Avanstar won Qualifier number 2. And so Qualifier number 3 will be either Ice Power or Talcor taking their spot in the final. And then the next qualifier should be in the next couple weeks, as I was saying earlier, for that final, with a little small prize pool to boot on top of that. But now we're just waiting on the picks and bans. So Ice Power is going to be picking Skaven, banning Skaven. Definitely doesn't want to be facing any of those mirrors anymore. So let's go for the pick and bans here. So we got Skaven, and they're going to be banning Skaven as well. Talcor doesn't want or wanted to do the other Skaven mirror again, seeing how well he did with the first one. But Ice Power, knowing what he saw in that first one, did not want to experience that once again. A Viking, welcome to the stream again. We're just in time for the first match of the finals. It is Ice Power versus Talcor. Both of these contestants won 2-0 in the semifinals. Ice Power, we can take a quick look at the bracket. Ice Power did beat Ben the Barman, and Talcor beat Jay Phoenix there. So we'll see what Talcor does decide to go with. So against Skaven, there's quite a few options you can take. Tomb Kings, Wood Elves are pretty decent. Though that one's, it's kind of even. Both sides got so many tools now for with the most recent DLC that it can go either way. Though Talcor is going to be going Warriors of Chaos, a very interesting pick indeed. I'd say it's generally Skaven favored, at least to a bit, but it still can go either way. The fact that Chaos has some very nice unbreakable units. They have Forsaken, which can really chew through Skaven infantry very, very quickly. And they do have some very strong lord choices as well with Archaon. Even the Warp Chicken can do quite well with Sartorial. And Ice Power, though, already ready to go. He must have had a build already figured out for Chaos, and we'll see if Talcor is quick to respond on top of that. And I suppose while we are waiting, Ice Power is set up. So after this match, we're going to have a little spiel on some other things, just so everyone is aware of that. Though I suppose we can just go for it. Yeah, how many mortars, Blackthorn? You know, I mean, with how good they are, we'll probably see at least one. The Warp Lightning Cannons aren't exactly bad yet. Though I don't know about Hell Cannons in this one. The Skaven have too many tools to snipe out other targets, like Warp Lightning Cannons in particular. Though this map is quite big, it is very large, and it does have a bit of water in it as well. But neither side do have that ability to kind of negate that. That is mostly would be a coast or lizardman field. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, while the Hell Cannon is Unbreakable Crew, there isn't many of them. So Wolf Rats, for instance, if they are able to get on top of it, can very quickly kill them. That is kind of one of the fears there as well. Just having the high mobility that the Skaven now have is pretty much what makes them harder, I think, is their newfound quick mobility. Talcor is ready, so we will load on in, switch the scene on over as we do head on into our first match. So all of those from Legend, welcome again. This is going to be our first match to see because you came in right at the tail end of our last one. So we'll be able to see this one from beginning to end. And it is a very fun map indeed. It looks like my settings did revert as well. So quick update our controls. Kind of make things all smoother. So, for the Skaven of Ice Power, let's see what he has brought today. So we do have one Poison Wind Mortar, I can see. We have a Plague Priest as well up on the Plague Furnace. And he's going to be bringing the Pestilent Breath as well. So actually, two Pestilent Breaths, because there is a bound Pestilent Breath on the Plague Furnace itself. And then it has the regular one. So the bound one is limited to the Plague Furnace itself, unlike the spell, which can be cast wherever. We have Blessed with Filth, as well as Vermintide on top of that. And the rest of the force, we have Skaven Slaves in the front, pretty standard stuff, and some Slingers as well. Maybe looking to kind of help. Actually, Slingers are very good against Spawn, and that's one thing that you can expect to find is the Spawn, because they have low armor, and the Slingers, they don't really have armor piercing, so that's great for them. We do have a Packmaster and Throt as well. So Throt looking to be bringing most of his kit. So he does have the Master Controller, +4 leadership and melee defense in an AoE. He also has the Remoldered, a nice little bound regrowth to all the Clan Molder units. We have Creature Killer as well as Beast Pack for his Rat Ogre summons. And now the Packmaster is going to be bringing running with the pack, so +4 regen to all Clan Molder units, and Scrying Stone and Shot Caller. Rest of the forces, we just have some Skaven Slaves mixed in here, or some Skaven, some Clan Rat Spears and regular units. I'm going to be protecting that Poison Wind Mortar, and we do have triple Rat Ogres in the back as well, one of which is the Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep with their Berserk ability. Now let's swing on over to what Chaos has brought. So we do see Chaos Spawn mixed in, but we also see some Marauder Horsemen, some Chaos Warhounds of their own with poison to help contend against what the Wolf Rats do bring, though there isn't any on the field today. Though there's quite a bit of mobility for Chaos, and the rest of the forces we have Forsaken mixed in with Marauders, as well as the Demon Spew, which do poison as well. And they have Frenzy, much like their regular Forsaken unit. We have some Chaos Spawn and the Weird Spawn as well, and the Weird Spawn do have Physical Resist as well as Armor Sundering. So against any of the large targets can really help allow those horsemen to do quite a good bit of work, potentially for like any of the Hell Pits, for instance, but there isn't any Hell Pits today. They are unbreakable, of course, like all the other Chaos Spawn. And we have Sartorial, the Everwatcher, going to be bringing Plague of Rust, Searing Doom, and Final Transmutation, as well as Stand or Die. Actually, that's not Stand or Die, I believe. Or is it? Take a little look. It is Stand or Die, so it's +24 melee, defense, and leadership. So now both sides going to advance, and once those mortars do get in range, they're going to have quite a bit of a field day until the rest of the forces can try and shut them down. And we're going to see if the Chaos forces have the tools necessary to do that. And here is the first volley of Poison Wind Mortars, going to be arcing its way downtown, going to be finding its mark amongst the Forsaken. A couple shots landing, going to be doing some nice Poison Wind damage over the course of a few seconds here, and then they should be switching targets over to some other units to kind of spread the love across the whole of these Skaven. Now, these shots going into the Sartorial here, unfortunate. Once again, we're going to be seeing some shots being wasted on some single entities, which we don't want to be seeing. Though that Packmaster hot on the tail of Sartorial. Sartorial is going to be running for his units here, as these Chaos Bonds should be able to deter that Packmaster from getting in too far. And we are going to be seeing some summons, though, from the Plague Priest to slow down the approach of the Chaos forces. Kind of common tactic that you'll see from the Skaven, just kind of slowing things down, allowing their weapon teams, or in this case, a single weapon team, to kind of deal with things, as now the Slinger is going to be firing in. The Warhounds were able to be beaten back by the Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep. But the Sartorial, the Everwatcher, are going to be coming in straight for those Poison Wind Mortars, going straight through those Clan Rats. Now, however, he is extended quite a bit. While he may be a little too eager to shut down these Poison Wind Mortars, while they are shut down for now, he is unbreakable. However, there is so much damage that around him. Like, we have an overcasted Final Transmutation going down. However, so it will catch quite a few units. It is centered around Throt, so wherever Throt goes, that damage is going to follow. Luckily for Sartorial, Throt did not drop his Rat Ogre summons and use Creature Killer, because that could have very quickly broken Sartorial very fast, or at least dealt a ton of damage his way. Now, the Plague Priest, though, is very far away from the rest of his forces. He's just kind of keeping these Demon Spew occupied for the time being, but on the plus side, he has done quite a bit of damage. I think that is also with the Poison Wind Mortars. On the far flank, though, we do have some Skaven Slaves being chased off, but those Chaos Marauders don't want to be chasing them off too far there. And these Chaos Warhounds with Poison are getting a little greedy here, trying to shut down all the ranged units when there's all these Rat Ogres here to just kind of collapse upon them. And once again, we're going to see these Chaos Warhounds get broken back very, very quickly. And the Skaven do have a nice edge in that balance of power. And Sartorial, once again, is fairly far ahead. He does have some Chaos Bond close by to support him, but he's just taking so much damage from Throt and that Packmaster. Though he might be able to rout off that Packmaster there, as he is going to be wavering and pulling back, trying to regain his leadership. And Balance Power maybe went back a tiny bit into Chaos's favor here, but is still overall on the Skaven side. While the Skaven trying to save their Poison Wind Mortars, which have gotten compromised, and these Marauder Horsemen really need to deal with that Poison Wind Mortar, just try and get on top of them instead. But I think they're trying to chase a unit maybe that's up in front here, though this one unit of Horsemen was able to rout off so many units. The Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep, away they go, and so many Skaven units here. And that is going to be fantastic for Chaos, being able to deal with all of those very expensive units. But the Poison Wind Mortars did get quite a bit of value early on, though despite that gain, they have pretty much lost Sartorial here. He is so low in health right now, and he does not have the speed to evade Throt and these Rat Ogres, as they're just going to surround Sartorial and beat him down. So they are going to be, Chaos is going to be losing their Lord here. So while they did do quite well initially, they have lost a bit of their steam. However, they still have quite a bit of unbreakable units. Double Scorch going down, trying to break through these Forsaken, while having the Weird Spawn and both of these Chaos Spawn here, while all of these Slingers are pretty much being dealt with. These Rat Ogres and Throt is going to have to carry the day against them. However, having Throt, having the Packmaster, and I don't know if he's used his Remoldered yet or not, it's going to be able to keep these guys nice and healthy, and especially considering the Packmaster has that regen around him. I don't know if all of the Chaos Spawn are going to be able to beat down that Plague Priest, and the Plague Priest is going to be able to slowly drain everything around here, so the Chaos needs to kill that Plague Priest as quickly as they can. But you can just see the Forsaken starting to get peeled off left and right, and it's going to be just down to the Chaos Spawn, and Balance Power going ever so much against the forces of Chaos. Sartorial definitely got a little too greedy, I think, in this match. He needed to be a little bit more cautious, especially seeing that both Throt and that Packmaster and so many Rat Ogres were on the field. They can so quickly break him down, and that is going to be it. Army losses trigger for the majority of the Chaos forces, and is just down to the Chaos Spawn, who are not going to be able to carry the day. There is far too much Skaven left on the field. And Ice Power is going to be taking the first game of the series. And the Chaos Spawn slowly getting broken down. Still 6 models left, surprisingly, with how low they are on HP. But yeah, they will not be able to stem the tide of Skaven. And the Vermintide will carry the day for this first match. Alright, so Ice Power takes the first one. But it is not over just yet. There is still plenty of matches left to be had. It is a best of 5. So Talcor still has his options to come back. So let's take a look at the after battle report. Now, the Poison Wind Mortars only getting 500. They were shut down quickly enough, despite the pretty much massive Skaven surrounding them. They didn't quite get enough value. Sartorial, while he did super overextend, he still was able to get 1700 in value with the damage he was dealing with, and the overcasted final transmutation did some decent work as well. Chaos Spawn not quite doing enough. The Weird Spawn on the other hand did fairly decent work, and I think the other misplay was the Chaos Warhounds with poison. They were far too greedy early on. They tried to get on top of the Slingers, shut them down. I know the Slingers did a lot of damage to the Chaos Spawn, but they just got collapsed upon by all of these Rat Ogres, and that was just killing the mobility advantage that the Chaos had initially, and the Forsaken just weren't able to punch through quickly enough. As we take a look at over on the other side, Throt doing some decent work. Plague Priest himself getting 1600, able to really do a ton of damage with that Mortis ability he has, and even the Slingers able to do some nice decent damage over the course of the battle. That's going to be our first match as we switch on back over to this, and let's double check the maps. And the next one is Oakenhammer. So we'll get that selected here. All right. So let's update. So right now, Talcor is going to be going Empire, banning Dwarfs as a fairly decent pick, because the Dawi are like the only hard counter to the Empire. Everything else is doable for them, but the Dawi is just such a hard match for them in particular. So very nice ban by Talcor here. And we saw in the last series that he did quite well with Empire. So we'll see if he's able to repeat that performance. And we'll update these stuff from game 1. So Ice Power, he went Skaven once again, and he ended up banning Skaven, which is kind of an interesting. And Talcor ended up responding with Chaos. There we go. So it looks like Ice Power is going to be going Bretonnia for a response to the Empire. Now, having all of the Questing Knights and Feyblob can really do quite well. Though we're definitely probably going to be seeing either Outriders or Demigryph Knights to deal with the Cav of Bretonnia. Kind of see how that thing shakes out in that regard. We have Bretonnia on the other side. All right, so I know Ice Power, I guess it's not necessarily super recent, but he has picked up Bretonnia as one of his more recent factions that he started playing. I know traditionally he is very much a Dark Elf main, so I would not be surprised to see that at some point. And Talcor proved quite well with the Empire, so we'll see how well both sides are able to handle this matchup. And I do think it's fairly even, depending on who you talk to. Might say I think it's Bretonnia favored, just with pretty much the Fae, the Paladins in support can really win that frontline engagement even with just peasants, and the questing knights can do such good work, especially. And now, though that particular engagement, if the questing knights can avoid getting charged by like demis or something like that, or avoid getting shot to pieces by outriders, then they should win those engagements. And you can also bring 4 questing knights in a fight, so that's also going to help quite a bit indeed. Yeah, let's kind of check something here. All right. I hope everyone is enjoying the stream so far. We've had some good games. We've had some crazy Skaven mirrors as well. Lots of Skaven today so far. I think we've had Skaven in the first match of both the semifinals and in the first match of the finals. We haven't seen Talcor hasn't gone Skaven yet, but we'll see if he does pick them up at some point in the series. Well, I think he's definitely very strong with the Empire forces. I should be good fun. I can just let them know we're ready to go when you are. So for counts, thing is with counts, it's like they struggle a bit in they struggle a lot in certain matchups. Dark elves, wood elves are kind of the 2 big ones where they're like it's super hard for them to deal with what those 2 factions can do. With the dark elves, it's like Marathi is like the linchpin of what makes the dark elves so good against them, and wood elves, it's the polarizing styles of play they can do. Like they're a little outdated with what they have, but I mean they're not necessarily they're not like bottom tier or anything like that. They definitely have their uses. They have like any undead faction with a lot of summons, healing, fairly decent single entities can do quite well, though their blood knights are of course very strong, and their lords are very strong as well, so they definitely don't need any changes in like the cavalry department or lords or something like that. Maybe a bit of unit diversity might not go too far astray if you go with that regard. Let me get a little something to wet the tongue here. But yeah, Osman, Yildrin, glad you enjoyed some multiplayer. Hope you guys all get interested in that. And speaking of multiplayer, let's see if I still have this set up. There we go. So we can talk about this right now while we're kind of in between games. So I made an announcement back a little bit ago. We're about the Warhammer World Championship. So this is a kind of collaborative project by a bunch of different YouTubers, just people in general that have been constantly on the scene. And so it's a big, massive, we're trying to promote this over the next course of the next month, where eventually in the 1st of February, we will have the opening of registration for this. You can find all the information on WarhammerWC.com. We have a link there, so if you want to contribute to the prize pool, you can do that there. And there's also a link to the Discord, which has all the other information, as well as some links to other Discords in that particular Discord, where you can find other tournaments and the like. But check that out if you are interested in multiplayer. It is open to anyone. We are hoping to have as many people join as we can and have pretty much comprehensive coverage over the course of that. So with that we talked about, let's jump on in to the match as they both are loaded on in. Ooh. All right, so for the Bretonnians led by Ice Power, we have the Fey Enchantress and double Paladins, as I was kind of expecting here. So the Fey Enchantress going to be bringing Earthblood, Regrowth, as well as the Favor of the Fey, plus 40 melee attack to any ally, and Chalice of Potions. Very good at punishing any blobbed up fight, for particularly cav engagements or something of that nature, and do quite well. And she also, of course, has the Miss of the Lady, which is a more extension effect, and a -5 melee attack surrounding her. Both of the paladins do have Guardian, giving a nice little buff to physical resist on top of the already good resistance that the Fae has. So, Alacrity, this is not the World Cup thing that Turin was talking about. It is, so it's not based on countries. World Championship is... it's just an open invite. There's no countries or anything like that. There's going to be qualifier stages and the like. So we'll touch a bit more of this after this battle. But otherwise, for the rest of the forces, we have some more men-at-arms. Spearmen-at-arms, kind of really lots of infantry here. And of course, we do have the peasant bowmen. We have a couple pox arrows. Very good having the poison sources for the questing knights, which are going to be 4 of them, with the companions of Quenelles in the back as well, the ROR variant. And that is going to be it for the Bretonnians. Pretty standard stuff, maybe a little lighter on the peasant mob than you're traditionally seeing, and maybe a little lighter on the peasant bowmen, but otherwise it's fairly standard for what you see against the Empire. And for the Empire forces, we have, of course, the demis. So it's, instead of the outriders, we are going to be having demis to contend with the questing knights. We have the Royal Altdorf Griffites as well, and plenty of halberds to really break those questing knights as quickly as they can. And we have Volkmar the Grim. Interestingly enough, he is on horseback, so he is not going to be on his chariot, so he does not have Unbreakable, though he does have the Jade Griffin, as well as the Hammer Sigmar and the Grand Shield of Faith. So he's going to be supported by a Jade Wizard with Earthblood only. And the rest of the forces, we have a bunch of archers to deal with the very low armored Bretonnians, though they should, I believe they'll get outshot by the peasant bowmen, though if they focus them down, they should be able to go bowman to bowman and break them down fairly quickly. And the front line is just going to be swordsmen across the line, and once again, we do not see the Sigmar Sons. So no Sigmar Sons from Talcor. I don't know why he doesn't like those. They're such a good unit to see. Normally, we also have a couple of Empire Knights on the flank, so a lot of mobility for the Empire. Only archers for ranged, no heavy gunpowder units. So it's going to be a fairly, both sides are fairly similar to one another. We have the Volkmar the Grim, who is very much a supporting, like, the infantry fights. He doesn't have the Soulfire bombardment, which is kind of interesting, and he isn't on his chariot, of course. And had he been on his chariot, he may have been a good target for the peasants, but he should have been able to take most of that, so it's kind of odd not seeing him on that. Though the Demi's going to start taking some shots to the face, and they're going to elect to get some nice charges into these peasant mobs, but the questing knights are going to be getting a nice counter charge here right on into them, though they will be pulling out and allowing their spearmen to take over. They're getting a nice charge here. More of the companions charging through the lines, and the Demis very well might be turning around and engaging those companions. The companions getting a little far forward here. Though the front line of the Bretonnians is going to start breaking across the board, and the questing knights are going to try and get countercharges off onto all of these Empire demis as well as they can, but all of the shots from the archers are going to be firing away, really breaking down that Bretonnian front line, but all the peasant archers are going to be continuing to fire in unopposed right now, as the Fae and both of the paladins do get mixed in, and the Royal Altdorf Griffites are going to start getting bogged down. A nice rear charge by the companions of Quenelles into those demis, getting a nice round off, should be able to break down that unit there. And so far, the Cav play, I think, is definitely favoring the Bretonnians now. As you can see, these demis have taken quite a bit of damage. One is routed and pretty much done and dusted. It has the Royal Altdorf Griffites, nonetheless, gets shattered, and it's ridiculous how quickly. And a nice little chalice of potions going right into the middle of these swordsmen here, not being used in the Cav engagement, which it normally is. And Volkmar the Grim, though, with his Grand Hammer of Faith and the Grand Shield of Faith and the Hammer of Sigmar, could be trying to keep the rest of his units alive and well as best that he can. But yeah, the companions of Quenelles definitely having the advantage early on. The Empire Knights trying to take advantage of the focus on the demis to try and deal with these peasant bowmen, but the questing knights are quick to respond and are going to quickly get on top of them on that regard. And yeah, the demis are just getting broken down. The demis cannot afford to stay in sustained combat with all these questing knights, especially with the paladin and the Fae so closely. The demis are just getting broken down bit by bit, and the Bretonnians definitely playing quite well so far. And the Empire Knights unable to really shut down the peasant bowmen. And that's definitely something that you don't necessarily see, is that poison that comes in from these pox arrows, able to pretty much poison an entire Cav engagement, and only poisoning the enemy Cav, and you can just see all of these demis just getting broken down bit by bit, and all of these Questing Knights are just so healthy, and I just don't think that the Empire has the stopping power left to win this. There's just enough Bretonnian infantry, and I mean, there's still all these archers with a lot of ammunition, but they're just not going to have the chance to use any of it because this entire group of Empire forces has all routed. We have Volkmar the Grim that is stuck in here. He is not unbreakable on his horse, so he is going to get slowly beaten down, and Double Paladin and the Fae should have no trouble in dealing with him. And now the Questing Knight's going to be pulling out of this blob and looking to hunt down these archers, and I think that is just the beginning of the end, as all of the Questing Knights should be able to just wrap things up at this point. There's not a whole lot left for the Empire that can really contend against them. Archers have been able to rout off some more of these peasants and men-at-arms, but for the most part, finally these peasants have gotten broken down and routing off the field, but it's too little too late. They have done their job. They poisoned the engagement they needed to do, and now the Jade Wizard is gone, and army losses, I believe, are going to be starting to trigger pretty soon here, especially getting a nice charge or two into the archers here. But as soon as Volkmar goes down, I think army losses are just going to trigger, and that is going to be it. And Bretonnia definitely going to be taken. The second match proven very strong so far as Ice Power, as he takes the series up to 2-0 going into his match point, though Talcor still has his opportunities to come back. Generally, yes, Osmond, gunners would be a lot better, but I think the idea of the archers was to counter-fire the peasant bowmen, and you don't need handguns for that. Hey, Evangepanic, welcome. Welcome to... So we'll take a little look at the after-battle report. Fae, pretty much just there as support. Paladin's doing quite well, but the real... heavy hitters were the Questing Knights. Companions getting 2,000 in value, 1,200 apiece, and yeah, the Demis just did not do well at all, and that was really what broke down this matchup. Peasant Bowmen getting decent value, able to poison things in, and the archers, I think their fire was just not prioritized well enough. They needed to be shutting down the opponent's Peasant Bowmen. Getting them off the field would have allowed their cav to trade better. But beyond that, yeah, it was very good matches, but well played by the Bretonnians nonetheless. So now we are going to go into Game 3 of this matchup. Okay, so yes, Sashimi Nissan. So the format for this tournament is we use challenge for all of that. We take a look at the bracket. So this is the semis and finals that you're seeing right now on the screen. We have this. So the first semifinal was Ice Power versus Ben the Barman, and then it was J Phoenix versus Talcor. Talcor and Ice Power both won 2-0. Right, I gotta set the map quick first, and we'll get back to this. So everyone joins through challenge, and then it's best of threes through the semifinals. The final is a best of 5, and then at that point, so we also use banner rules as well, which is most of the discords. If you're on any of them, you'll be able to see the rules there. If you aren't in any of the discords, there is a link to my Discord on my YouTube channel, so you can go to that through there, and then you'll be able to find the rules listed in that one of the channels on that Discord. And I should add another channel that can link all the other Discords for all the other either content creators or other groups, because there is also a dedicated Discord for tournaments. So I hope that answered at least some of your questions here. Alright, so we'll go back to the Tween Battles, as Ice Power has picked his Dark Elves, and he is going to be banning Skaven. That does leave Coast open, though. So, Dark Elves, banning Skaven, and Talcor is going to be countering with Greenskins, which is also very good against Dark Elves. Hey Sashimi, welcome to the Discord as well. Should have Oh, I don't. Oh, no, I do have it set. For some reason, those alerts aren't showing up. But in the meantime, I guess I can. Walter Sobchak, thanks for the sub and enjoy the struggle. And Juicy Goose, thank you all for subbing. They're not showing up on screen as they're supposed to, but thank you guys for joining the channel. Do a mix of it's pretty much all multiplayer. Gonna be planning on doing I guess I had a little bit of a project going for one video. It should be a very interesting one at that, and then I'll be doing a Norska showcase before too long as well. Yes, Ice Power, the Noob Hammer Discord as well. After this stream, I'm going to add all of those links to my Discord if that's the only one you guys have been in. And I'm going to be right back. The little dog wants to get out, so hang tight. All right. Yep, Turin's Discord, and also the Discord for the World Championship. Bring that back up on the screen. On that website is a link to the Warhammer World Championship Discord, and on that Discord is more links. I know Turin's is one of them, and he has another channel that has a ton of Discords there, pretty much all of which are going to be Warhammer of some regard. So we'll swing on back to this, and we'll update what the match 2 was. All right. Yes, spend the bar, man. So Anticity has his own like ladder set up in his Discord using a bunch of programming and stuff. It's really interesting how he does it because it assigns people your elo and league points. So league points is developed based on how many games you play. Essentially, you get more for winning, for queuing up first, and it's all best of threes as well. It assigns maps. It assigns who picks first, and so you match up with people based on skill. And the more people, and definitely that's been taken off a bit more recently, of what I've noticed. So there's usually quite a few people who are playing that every day, and it's a lot more structured than the ladder. And you still use the banner rules, so you still have some kind of structure based on that. So it's not just like the Wild West of the ladder. Well, dogs are having fun. All right, Talcor is ready to go for this next match. All right. All right, just waiting. Oh, wait. Did he ban? Oh, I just realized that. I have this UI set up and I just realized that. So okay, yes, good catch, Papa Palpatine. So this is the reason why I had the UI in the first place, and I used it, and I wasn't even paying attention to the picks and bans. Yep, good catch there, Papa Palpatine. I would not have noticed that. Yes, big Papa Kolek. All right. Alright, so a little delay here while we redo picks and bans. Definitely good thing that we caught that. Didn't want to... Alright, so we'll just have to redo that, redo the picks and bans there. Well, I mean, if Talcor is okay with that. If Talcor is fine with his matchup, then that's fine. All right, so yeah, looks like we're still going to be doing Dark Elves and Greenskins. I mean, if they're perfectly fine with that. If I should have caught that earlier on as well. But I mean, as long as both players are good, I'm good with that as well. So Ice was a little confused because you can't ban. The way it's worded is a little interesting because you can't ban twice until the second round of the fifth match, because that would essentially give a player like a guaranteed faction. We can go through the picks and bans after this, but I can see why he would have thought, because I think I said second, something around that nature. But all right, so Greenskins, Dark Elves. So we do get to see Ice Power's Dark Elves. Let's put the screen on over. And we'll update the score as well. I forgot to update that. Ice Power is up to 0 after all. Winning with Bretonia and Skaven. So what he has brought, we do have Morathi with a pair of K-Knight Assassins as well in support. So Morathi is going to be bringing the Enchanting Beauty, -9 melee attack and charge bonus on an AoE, as well as Heartrender and the Dark Sword, -9 melee defense and melee attack. And she has Soul Stealer and Ward of Karedan, which is why you do not like why Vampire counts do not like going up against Dark Elves, is this combination of abilities. Both of the K-Knight Assassins do have, take a quick look and avoid have the Web of Shadows, and I think one of them had the Assassin's Trophy as well. So yes, one has the Assassin's Trophy, both have the Web of Shadows. We have Dread Spears, and we have quite a bit of mobility with Cold One, Dread Knights, and Dark Riders kind of mixed into the links as well as the Knights of the Ebon Claw. So Dark Riders with shield, and then we have a dragon up in the sky as well. So rather interesting build. Definitely going for full melee and not having any range at all. You sometimes expect to see at least some kind of armor piercing because of armor trolls or stone trolls. Yeah, what Legion is saying is, well, in this case it'd be round 5, but yes, in a best of 3, that's kind of the same shtick with that. So technically this is game 3, but it's a best of 5, so it's not until game 5. Anyways, back to the greenskins. We have Grom the Paunch, who is going to be bringing 3 of his village. We'll take a quick little look at what he has. So he has Language with the Boys, we have the Great Un is here, and we have Lucky Banner for a nice little bit of damage resistance. Rest of the forces is going to be Orc Boys with the Night Goblins, which is going to be the the AP Loonies. That doesn't actually show up unless they are the, I guess, home faction. Their name doesn't show up. Rest of the forces, we have quite a bit of mobility with Goblin, Wolf Rider Archers, and Mogreb's Mangy Marauders as well. So armor piercing there, otherwise poison, and we do have some Force Golem Spider Riders on the flanks, and we have some Archers, Orc Arrow Boys to kind of protect things. And for the Lord or Hero, we have Goblin Big Boss with some Stone Trolls and a Giant River Troll Hag with Power Stone, Spirit Leech, and looks like Fate of Buna and Mither as well to slow things down. And that'll definitely be very, very helpful with all of the cavalry that the Dark Elves do have. However, these greenskins should be able to have free reign in terms of mobility here, so they should be able to have all the skirmishing they want. These Dark Riders and Cold One Dread Knights are not going to catch things up. So right now, all of the archers are going to be trying to light up this dragon here, trying to get that thing down as low as it can. It is mithered, so most of its shots are going to be finding a home, while the rest of the forces do slowly kite away. But here comes, and the Knights of the Ebon Claw going to be getting some nice charges into that front line, as the rest of the mobility going to try and break down that front line as quickly as it can, and try and withstand the storm of the Force Golem Spider Riders. Right now, the front line should go the way of the greenskins, as long as the rest of the skirmishing that the greenskins have are able to keep the mobility of the Dark Elves busy. Though that Dragon and Marathi with the 2 Canine Assassins could be very, very helpful, especially against the Goblin Big Boss, which I may have spoken too soon. If that thing may have already bit the dust, we'll have to take a little look to see if it's still sitting around here somewhere. Because having 2 Canine Assassins can quickly put that thing down, and a decent, not necessarily a decent breath attack. Usually you want that thing to go down the length of a unit. Though that Giant River Troll Hag is taking a ton of damage from both of these Canine Assassins, so definitely going for the Lord Snipe, or I guess the Hero Snipe in this regard. I can't tell if the Goblin Big Boss is off with the rest of these forces here. So it is just going to be the Giant River Troll Hag that is getting pushed back, at least for now. Though Giant River Troll Hag is just going to retreat behind its own lines. Though the Dark Elves actually doing decent on that front line, able to shut down these Orc Arrow Boys. Though the mobility that the greenskins have is really going to make it hard for the Dark Elves to really win this, because nothing that they have can catch these Goblin Wolf Rider Archers. They're just going to be able to kite away until the end of the game. And there's not really a whole lot that they can do to stop that. They just have to weather the storm and hope they still have enough left at the end. And the Black Dragon has taken quite a bit of damage so far, and it doesn't have any healing. And pretty much now just trying to get this Giant River Troll Hag off the field and get rid of the magic for the greenskins, and they should be able to do this. It's pretty isolated right now, not a whole lot of support. You don't have any of those Stone Trolls nearby to really stop it. And it's just going to try and run away, get as much damage as it can in with Spirit Leech and the like. Yeah, Dark Elves don't really have much in terms of backline, Carlos, but I get what you mean by in terms of like the mobility, as they're just getting really beat down, as nothing they can do can stop these Stone Trolls in the far flank, as they're just constantly chasing off all of the mobility that the Dark Elves have. And once that mobility is gone, they'll be able to collapse then upon what's left of the Dark Elf forces, which is pretty much everything that you see right here. And if they can keep their archers alive for the most part, they'll just be able to kind of sit in a nice wide formation and just fire in all around the battlefield. Another breath attack going to be going in, getting some damage on the Orc Arrow Boys, though not doing quite as good as it wants to. Marathi and her goon squad of Canine Assassins able to kill the Giant River Troll Hag, who does have Assassin's Trophy on top of it, and the poison from all of these Canine Assassins also going to be slowing it down and making sure that it does get finally pushed off the field. So definitely want some support here. I don't know if Grom is close by enough, with just finishing up the last of the mobility of the Dark Elves. And man, but look at this flying dragon. This Black Dragon has taken a ton of damage just from all of the skirmish. The skirmish has used up pretty much all of its own ammunition, but it doesn't have a whole lot of infantry support left to engage with, like for example, the Stone Trolls is going to be a big pain for it to deal with, because it doesn't do fire damage unlike kind of other dragons. It just has armor piercing, and its Pestilent Breath isn't fire damage, it would be just magic damage as well. So now in comes the ranging greenskins that have been kind of just chasing the mobility of the Dark Elves for most of this battle. Breath attack does go down, trying to pick off Smell, but I think it just went a little high, not really doing anything on that last breath attack. But here comes a very nice Soul Stealer, going to be catching the Stone Trolls, the heroes, as well as these Goblin Forest Rider archers, as all of the spears do collapse on this location, and in comes the K-Knight Assassins. And these Night Goblins going to be hot on the tail of Morathi. They are unbreakable, so let's just be a little pesky nuisance now at this point. Well, there's still plenty of Orc Boys left to deal with the spears, and that dragon is low enough where it shouldn't really have any problem. Though if Grom does go down, it could be a bit of a problem here. But otherwise, things still looking very good for the greenskins. But man, look how much damage that Goblin Big Boss took. That thing was at full health just a second ago, and now it is already routing and pretty much gone at this point, as the Assassin's doing its job, shattering it so quickly. And with that loss, that balance of power went right back to even. It's been in the greenskins' favor for the longest time, and the damage that Grom took as well was considerable. He needs to stay very much away from these K9 Assassins and let these Orc Boys drag it in, but remember that they do have Web of Shadows, so only one of these Orc Boys should be on top of those at a time. But man, that Black Dragon going to be routing off the field. But so is going to be the Stone Trolls, and the mobility of the Dark Elves, having lost that so early on in the match, is going to be hurt here, as long as one of these Forest Goblin Spider Riders realize it, but just as they're about to chase, they do shatter. So these Stone Trolls will be back, and they have 11 models still left. That is going to be a fearsome foe indeed, because they do regenerate, as you can take a little look at their health going back up. And they will pretty much heal back up to full health at this point. The Wanda Kratos going to have a nice little Doom Bolt coming down on top of Grom the Paunch. Can he dodge it? We shall see how much damage he takes as he's trying to maneuver left and right. And he does dodge the shot, but a very juicy Soul Stealer. Oh my, look at all those units that got caught in that. That is probably the best Soul Stealer that I have seen in a long time. There was so many units caught in that. That alone is going to do so much damage and heal up Morathi, though Morathi is still going to have a problem to deal with everything here because there's just so much infantry left. And I think at this point, you can see their leadership is going to be the problem. Like, the K9 Assassins and Morathi would be able to deal with Grom, but their leadership is just tanking so quickly. One K9 Assassin's gone. The other one's going to be gone as well, and so is Morathi. And despite having all your heroes very healthy, there's just way too much infantry left, and the mobility advantage that the greenskins had throughout the course of the match was pretty much what won it for them, able to shut down the mobility that the Dark Elves did bring. But a very interesting match nonetheless, and I think it is just going to be a matter of time, and army loss is going to be triggering here any second, as that balance of power is pretty much past the point of no return. And there we do have it. Talcor gets his first match of the series, as he does take it. So now it's up to 2-1. And we shall now go over to between battle. Actually, back to the screen so we can just take a look at the after battle report real quick. So Grom getting 2,300. Unfortunately, that Goblin Big Boss pretty much got deleted by those K9 Assassins so early on. The same with the River Troll Hag, getting pretty much a ton of damage dealt their way very quickly. Though the mobility, we're going to see just how much damage all of these Goblin Wolf Rider archers, and all these guys are fairly cheap on the cost here. Though the poison from the Forest Goblin Spider Riders and the Forest Goblin Spider Rider archers did quite well. Stone Trolls doing decent work as well, and even the Morgroves Magi Marauders, but pretty much across the board, a nice even distribution of damage, with maybe Grom being a little bit higher than the rest. Black Dragon, 1,200, but still not close to its cost. But the mobility was what really hurt. All these very expensive Cold One Dread Knights and Knights of the Ebon Claw just did not do very well at all for the Dark Elves. So now the next map, we get that set for them, is going to be Pillar of Bone. Oops. There we go. Yeah, when the Dread loses to Spider Riders. All right. Yep, Dark Elves definitely feeling a little weaker than they used to in the past. It used to be one of the top tier factions, I think, in initial release, but now the power creep, I guess, of all the other factions have really kind of pushed them the other way. Yep, the Wa takes the day, Thomas. Indeed it does. right, so now we will have Talcor in the fourth match. He will have his picks and bans here. All right, update game 3. So ice, we have Dark Elves, and since he already, but they agreed that the Skaven ban didn't matter, otherwise we would have redone picks and bans at last match. But since Talcor was fine with it, I guess he really likes the Greenskin Dark Elf matchup anyways. We're gonna keep that there, but just keeping all of the matchups listed. There we go. There we go. So we'll see just how... Now Talcor is going to be going Lizardmen, banning Tomb Kings. Lizardmen, banning Tomb Kings. And Ice Power is going to be thinking about his counter pick. Coast can be pretty good against Lizardmen. We'll see how if he does decide to go with that. All that gunpowder units can do quite well, and being unbreakable, functionally unbreakable, is definitely helpful on top of that. So we'll see just how things are going to carry into the late stage here. Because once again, this is going to be match for Ice Power if he's able to win this. Talcor does need to win the last 2 if he wants to secure a spot in the finals. And I do know he played a Lizardman in the last time he was in the finals, if I do remember correctly. I know he also does play Wood Elves, and obviously, or at least he likes the Skaven Mirror, at least from earlier on. Right, Ice Power still thinking about his counter pick here. And so, yeah, we had a little questions on the picks and bans at the beginning of the last batch with the kind of a little mix-up there. But generally for best of 3, it's pick and ban 2 for the first 2 matches, and then the last one, you cannot repeat a ban unless you are the person picking second, and the person picking second is the one who lost the game 2 match. So then you can repeat a ban from the pick 3 selection. Now for a best of 5, it's pick and ban 1 for the first 4 games, and you cannot repeat a ban throughout that, and whoever wins the 4th match gets to pick first in the rubber match, which is pick 3 ban 1. That ban cannot be repeated from earlier bans. However, whoever picks second in that one can repeat a ban if it is one of the 3 that is selected. It looks like VP for Ice Power, as I was kind of guessing from earlier on. He has shown that he does play some Coast, and they are strong against Lizardmen. So we'll see how this match does shake out. Now, it's not as bad as it used to be, purely because like bombers aren't as strong as they used to be, and the handgun units did get a reduced model count. However, they did get increase in armor piercing and missile damage, so it kind of is a wash there. They just don't have as much of a wall of lead, and it's easier for them to be compromised, because when they had, I believe it was like 120 miles before, and then definitely having less of that now is definitely quite helpful when you're focusing, when you have a bunch of infantry or you're trying to get into them and take them offline, considering because with guard mode, they can still keep firing even when engaged. All right. So hope everyone is enjoying the stream so far. We'll have potentially another match after this one, but after that we will have our third qualifier for our final, and that should be sometime in the next month-ish. Hopefully next 3-4 weeks we'll have the final. Yeah, for this particular matchup between Coast and Lizardmen, I think it's probably fairly... cannons can be useful here. This map isn't huge, but it does definitely provide both sides with areas to deploy artillery on. Both sides have a little bit of a hill, so the Lizardmen will likely be drawn to the to the coast side. And just going to be pretty much weathering the storm. You could see, I've seen people on Lizardman side bring like a mix of Skinks and Saurus. Skinks pretty much just to, when you fire in with handguns on them, it's more or less a waste, and they're not going to take as much damage as bombers, from bombers as they used to, though I'm pretty sure we'll still be expecting to see... I was probably still expecting to see Luther is probably the most common pick against them, just because it's really hard for the Lizardmen to take him out of the sky. Let's see. Maxim Olive? It's been so long since I've taken Russian. Welcome to the stream nonetheless. Hopefully you're enjoying it all. All right, both sides are readied up, so let's get into this fourth match of the best of 5. Should be a fun one with that. This is the second time we will be seeing Ice Power's Coast so far. Crabling, you guys can... Not exactly sure what he was asking for there. I can pronounce his name, I think, and that's about it. It's been so long. I'm trying to remember what that even says. Yet I know what that is. So for the counts, or coast, I keep saying, for the coast side, we do actually have Count Noctilus on foot. So when he is on foot, he has armor piercing, bonus versus large. So that can be quite helpful against Lizardmen, who often will bring large targets. And he is very hard to take down in that regard. So he's pretty much just going to be a source for magic. So he has the Captain's Wrath Moondial, Wraithstorm, Raised Dead, and Invocation of Nehek. So plenty of summons and stuff. And so he's pretty much guaranteed to use up all of that. Very hard to snipe him out from the Lizardman side. Otherwise, we do have some bombers mixed in. We actually have some Death Guard mixed in as well for a little front line stopping power. Definitely got a little bit of a buff with the last patch, though we'll see if they're able to perform up to their cost even now. We have the Lamprey's Revenge, Rotting Prometheans, Gunnery Mob as well. Very good high armored, armor-piercing missile fire, and very nice indeed. In the back, we do have some mortars as well, a couple of mortars with the Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs. And we do have the handguns as well for some more gunline forces. And we do have front line, of course, of just Zombie Pirate Deckhands. So one sec here. Because you actually... Oh, wait, you can come up here. Oh, no, you can't. That's not enough space. All right, just a little reminder. There is a little bit of a buffer zone from the edge of the map, so you just got to make a little bit of a shift over to the side there. Oh, shoot, I have a screen blocker up. I am so glad that I looked and I saw that. Well, that would have been bad because that thing takes the entire screen. So I guess you guys didn't see the army here. So the army here, yeah, you have the depth guard, mortars, all that stuff. For the front line of the Lizardmen, we have Solar Bastiladon. We have a Stegodon, actually, so it has the... Oops, let's get that back up. So we have a nice little 360 range, armor piercing, poison. We have a second Solar Bastiladon, and we have a Mage Priest of High going to be a Beringen. We have Tempest, I see, Apotheosis. We have Hand of Glory to help with the melee attack and reload skill, so that can be used on the Solar Bastiladons. Get that thing shut down. Tempest. We have the Blood Statue of Spite. We have the Shield of the Old Ones, and we have the Bound Banishment as well. Front line very wide indeed. We have skink cohorts. We have some javelins mixed in with Saurus and some more skinks all the way across the line. So kind of what I was saying before, where you got the mix of skinks and Saurus mixed in. Now the Solar Bastiladon is going to have to be a little careful of that handgun fire, though they should be able to outrange it long enough, and especially with that Stegodon, should be nice at sniping out the mortar pieces. And the Salon Mage Priest should be able to keep things nice and healthy, because the coast side is going to have to be moving forward here. So yeah, welcome everyone to the stream once again. This is the 4th match of the best of 5 in the final, Ice Power versus Talcor, and let's get going. Okay, so everyone is set. Everyone nice and ready to go, as the Solar Bastiladon does open fire right into Count Noctilus, doing some nice damage there. Of course, they do have fire damage on and magic damage with their ranged attacks, so that's quite good against the undead. Now, of course, against Counts, it is, of course, risky. He is going to be using one of his summons. It might be the Captain's Wrath's Moondial, since you don't get the overcasted ability to do that for the pistol summons. But a Wraith Storm does go down on the Bastiladon, not really doing a whole lot of damage there, but at least it is some damage in that regard, and that summon does kind of muck things up for the Lizardmen. Are going to be allowing the shots to kind of rain in as best they can as the mortars continue going in, and the Stegodon is going to be targeting those mortars as well. Hasn't taken out a model yet, but I think only a matter of time, and a nice shot there from the Bastiladon, clipping through some of the Death Guard, trying to get rid of these Lamprey's Revenge, as that is kind of their best target to deal with them. Though, of course, the very elite Depth Guard is another good target there. Able to go right into a fairly grouped up formation, but an Invocation is going to go down on top of them, kind of healing them back up to full. Here's going to be a nice banishment right into the middle of these handguns. Going to be doing a decent amount of damage, though it is going to kind of drift away from them for the most part, keeping them fairly healthy. They still have 80 models left, so it's still sitting pretty on that regard. And that Slan might be getting a little too close for comfort here, as it is going to get lit up by a lot of the handgun units here. It does not want to be that close to the fight here. It needs to be pulling back, allow the range units. So we do have 2 of the Skink Chiefs. We have the... So, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Oh, shoot. We have another rule break here. Alright, if Talcor sees that, maybe we'll be able to see things. But yeah, there is 6 single entities on the battlefield right now, because there's 2 Skink Chiefs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is 6 single entities. That is 1 over that. I wonder if he... Nope, we'll let the battle play out, and we'll see how that thing goes. So we're going to let things progress as they are, and we'll have to detail that at the end of the match. But otherwise, for the rest of the engagement here, the front line is going the way of the Lizardmen. However, the Depth Guard are going to be holding back the tide for the most part, though they are taking quite a bit of damage from the Saurus here on that front line, though that Slan Mage Priest is taking quite a bit of damage himself. And it's very unlikely that Talcor is going to be noticing that. Yeah, Skink's so tiny. Wasn't even focusing on that earlier on. I should have seen that before we started, but... Otherwise, Mortars, though, still firing away. They still have all of their models, though these Skink cohorts with Javelins did get mixed into the things that are able to shut down at least this one unit for the time being, though these Zombie-powered Deckhand mobs with pole arms are able to push it back, at least for now, but there is more Skinks coming in on that flank, and there is 2 of them there, so there is only 1 Zombie-powered Deckhand mob with pole arms, so if Talcor is on top of things, he should be able to pull both of these kind of off into the flanks, but now that these other Skinks did get routed off, and there's so much fire coming in from the Skinks here, it is going to be a bit of a problem for them to deal with. The Solar Bastiladon is still doing a ton of damage. We have a Hand of Glory going down this one, giving some nice little reload skill. Should be able to continue firing in very effectively. And now the rest of the forces going to be just kind of sitting on the flanks here. The polearm is doing a good job at keeping everything off of the mortars, at least for now. And the handgun's still doing relatively okay. However, we still have Noctilus doing pretty healthy with these Lamprey's Revenge, and that is going to be the tough nut to crack there, as one of the Solar Bastiladons has used up most of its ammunition so far. But right now, so actually Talcor did actually move one of his back, so we are good with that regard. But yeah, so far the Solar Bastiladon is doing quite well. Just able to kind of continue firing, and nothing can contend against them. And if they can take out all of the Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs, there's not a whole lot that can damage both, like all of them together. It's going to be very hard for them to deal with, though the Lamprey's Revenge is going to be a tough nut to crack as well, because once those Solar Bastiladons has used up its ammunition, the Lamprey's Revenge is going to have a lot of armor, because we take a little look at its stats. It does have 120 of it. At least one of the mortars has finally dropped the Stegodon, firing in throughout the course of the battle, just able to take one out now. We'll kind of see if the Lizardmen have enough to break through the box of the Vampire Coast here, as the coast is slowly retreating back to kind of form a bit of a perimeter here, forcing the rest of the Lizardmen in to meet them. And breaking through the Lamprey's Revenge with Noctilus, and even these Depth Guard are still sitting pretty healthy right now, and they should be able to win against all of these Skinks fairly handily. Saurus are getting pretty depleted, and once that because the Lizardmen don't have a whole lot left in terms of infantry support. So we have some Skinks over here, we have some on the hill off to the side there, but that Solar Bastiladon clipping the rear of its own Slange Mage Priest. Unfortunate shots from there, trying to do some more damage to those Depth Guard. But yeah, the Slann actually should do fairly decent work against those Depth Guard. However, there's all of these ranged units just going to start lighting up that Slann, and Slann is now going to try and move in to point-blank range to shut those down. And a nice little flanking maneuver here by the Skinks, going to be getting on to these mortars, though at this point, the mortars don't have anything to deal with what's left. Or the mortars don't have anything to really shoot at. They can pretty much just shoot at routing units, maybe hopefully force them to shatter. But there's not a whole lot. And at this point, Noctilus does have his own healing when he's in melee. He has the hunger after all. So he should be able to kind of easily top off. That Slann shouldn't be able to beat him down. And the balance of power slowly shifting in the coast favor now, as the Lizardmen have used up the last of their ammunition on their Solar Bastiladon, as well as the Stegodon. So now they are just going to have to commit to melee. And Noctilus should still have a bit of summons left, so he should be able to kind of help muck things up, give a little bit of extra damage facing the rest of the forces. But look at these Lamprey's Revenge have taken quite a bit of damage from that Solar Bastiladon, and even the Solar Bastiladon that's in melee is continuing to take quite a bit of damage. Now, they do have their own bit of regeneration, but that Bastiladon does have a decent amount of armor piercing, but it's bonus versus infantry, so it doesn't quite get the bonus versus them. So it's going to be a slow, drawn-out fight, and now that Noctilus is coming into that engagement, it should be able to break that Solar Bastiladon, and there isn't really a whole lot, like, there's no more multi-unit models for the Lizardmen, if I'm correct, so it is just down to the single entities, and they just are going to have to be going between formations here, as a Slann trying to shut down the mortars. Probably not necessarily the most ideal target for even him, because again, as I was saying before, there isn't anything left for those mortars to shoot at. So, I mean, you're going to shoot at these Bastildons. That's not really going to be doing a whole lot. Bastildon sniping the Stegodon, that's definitely a thing that you see the Solar Bastildons do occasionally, is a little bit of friendly fire. But Slann Mage Priest can be stuck in, though, with these pole arms, and having all of these pole arms are just going to drag down these large targets, and like the Bastildons, Stegodons, and Slann just aren't going to have the stopping power to really finish. I don't think they can even kill Noctilus at this point, because that Solar Bastildon is going to be going away. Unfortunate. And these Lamprey's Revenge continuing to heal up themselves, getting even closer to their healing cap as time goes on. And yeah, with Noctilus mixed in with all this, I think the Coast, I keep saying Count, the Coast will definitely take it here. Yeah, Stegodons, if you're looking to snipe out artillery, the Stegodons are better because they have that 360 range. I believe that's what it is, 360? Yes, 360 range, armor piercing, poison even. Can do quite well there. Solar Bastildon is probably good if you're expecting a Necrofex Colossus. Solar Bastildon's better. But now that one of these Solar Bastildons has been pushed out, the Lamprey's Revenge will be moving out to chase them down, keeping them out of the fight for good. And Noctilus is going to be chasing down that Slann Mage Priest. Not a whole lot that he can do at this point. Skink Chief going to be coming into the fight, trying to assist in the late game, maybe getting a few shots into Noctilus, maybe getting some poison onto him. But yeah, that Solar Bastildon is slowly getting dragged down, trying to chase down these Stegodons. Or the Stegodon trying to chase down Lamprey's Revenge to keep this Bastildon nice and healthy, but I think just the shots alone, and there it goes. One Bastildon is down, one Stegodon to go. And Noctilus should be taking care of this other one. And it's only a matter of time now, I think, until things do wrap up. Depth Guard continuing just to hound the Skink Chief as much as they can. Wavering, only 9 models left. Skink Chief might be able to beat them. They are crumbling now, but they won't be able to beat down Noctilus, especially once all his ammunition is spent. And now everything just converges one last time. Yeah, Cawthon, that's the last Skink Chief. Unfortunate, he's only 350, so the cost that would have gone to would have been maybe another Skink cohort or something like that. I don't think that would have made much of a difference in this battle, because the mortars at the end were still online and they didn't have anything to shoot at. But yeah, at this point, Slann's gone. Stillons are all that's left. Stegodon as well. Though the Lampreys, they still have all their models left. The other ones are stuck around the Slann. I don't think they can kill the Lamprey's Revenge at this point, and they sure can't kill Noctilus. Lamprey's Revenge will escort that Slann off. Their missile fire should be able to finish it off with its nice little shotguns from their crab's backs. Should be another shot or two, and the Slann should be going down. It is sitting at 246 health. But the Stegodon does kind of peel off one of the models, catches up to it, and kind of distracts the rest of the unit, causing them to kind of disengage. Though at this point, it doesn't really matter here. Cold-Blooded does try and go down on the Slann Mage Priest from one of the Skink Chiefs, trying to get it back into the fight, but down it does finally go. The Bastildon is gone, and I think that is going to be all she wrote, as the last of the Skink Chief can't really do a whole lot now. It is just a single little target, ain't going to be able to kill Noctilus, and that Stegodon will slowly but surely get dragged down through the mud. So this is probably just the beginning of the end here. We have the Stegodon will get dragged down through Noctilus, and the Skink as well. Yeah, Skink Chiefs generally will perform well above their value in watch, because they're only like 350 base cost or something like that. It's ridiculously cheap than what they are. So that is going to be our series, though, as Ice Power does take the final match. As we take a look at, because you have the two Skink Chiefs, one of which got 1,200 in value. For something that cost 350, that's pretty damn good. And even the one, despite the fact that when I noticed that there was 6 single entities, it had already generated its value in cost. So having, I mean, with what you would have had to have done, like Like, what would you have taken out of this fight? I mean, potentially the Solar Bastillons, they got some really good value. Same with the Stegodon. I mean, building this army, you would probably take out a Skink Chief. The Skink Chief versus any of the Bastillodons. It's just unfortunate that the rest just wasn't able to really kind of punch through the coast roster, and because like the front line of the depth guard, they didn't pay for themselves, but they were able to last and beat back all of the Saurus and Skinks, and allowing just the last bit of troops to be the Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs, which got paid for like 1,000 gold on a 400 cost unit as well, is pretty damn good. And the Lamprey's Revenge 2,400, Noctilus 1,700, so quite well in that regard. Even the handgun's doing some decent work as well. A very good series, as Ice Power, though, does take it. But yeah, unfortunate for there. So we'll take a look. Final update the score for the last time. 3-0. Bracket has Ice Power advancing to the finals. Yeah, Stink Chief's definitely very, very good. So, Rubber Duck, yeah, the next qualifier, we'll have to... I mean, usually I always do Sundays. I could try and do a weekday qualifier for this last one. It would most likely be like a Thursday, Friday is what I'm guessing. So, yeah, Ice Power, talking about the hero slots. Let's see, we're looking through the chat right now, in that... But yeah, so yes, what Ice Power is saying, thinking about the value of hero slots in general. So he was saying, like, imagine if one had been a Scarvet on a cold one, it would just sit on the crabs all day and win for you. So that definitely would have been a counter, or at least done better against the crabs there, trying to get a little bit damage there. But yeah, definitely losing one of the Skink Chiefs was a bit unfortunate for that. But anyways, very well played series to all. So unless anyone has any closing comments to look at, then we will close out the stream now. And again, I want to thank you all for coming, and I want to also thank Legend for sending a bunch of people my way, getting you guys interested a bit into the multiplayer scene. And I hope to see some of you guys in some of the upcoming tournaments. And of course, we do have another qualifier, which, yeah, date to be decided now. Might be a weekday one if there is enough interest in doing that. Otherwise, it'll probably be on a Sunday if not. Otherwise... Yes, Tank. Skink Chiefs are a bit too cheap, though. I agree. Like, they're $350 for the cost. But anyways, thank you all for joining the stream once again. I do hope you all enjoyed. And as always,